Guys, welcome in. It is the Rob Kendall Show. Indiana news, politics, and government. You can't get anywhere else. Thanks for being with us. We got a ton of stuff to get to today. We've got a huge update on the fight over utilities, which is absolutely amazing. We got to talk about the latest opinion piece in the Indy Star about the plan to raise the wheel tax. There is so much local stuff going on. Oh, and by the way, you're going to be floored at how little requirement, how little obligation there was in order to get free benefits from the government in the state of Indiana until very recently. There's so much local stuff to get to. We're going to do all of it in just a moment. But first, and primarily what we do here is Indiana news and politics and government. But we do talk about some national stories if they impact all of us, especially back here at home. And this first story today, I made it the lead story because it's a massive story and it does affect all of us wherever you live in this country, including right here in the state of Indiana, because it deals with the price of housing and something the government did under Joe Biden that caused housing to skyrocket. So the New York Post has an article about a staggering set of statistics on how much home prices rose for everyone during Biden's presidency due to illegal immigration. I read this story, and the idea that illegal immigrants were causing housing prices to rise did not surprise me. The amount was staggering. So there is a new working paper that has come to light from the Federal Reserve, people who the people who set monetary policy in this country. And what this working paper has found, according to the New York Post, is that the record surge in illegal immigration under Biden triggered massive spikes in not only home prices, but also rent. Roughly 30%. So this is obviously, right? We saw this year over year from 2021 through about 2024. And what was it? That was the Biden presidency. And what was one of the tenets, the staples, the anchors, I guess would be the correct word, of the Biden presidency? It was mass, wholesale, illegal immigration. A do-drop-in policy. They put the welcome sign out. I mean, I even remember one of these press conferences where Biden was getting asked about this, and he literally told children what to say on the phone when calling their home country in order to stay in the country. It wasn't just that the Biden administration was doing nothing about illegal immigration. They were welcoming it. They were inviting it. They wanted it. And I've told you guys for years, the Democrats, look, Republicans have their own reason for not doing anything about illegal immigration, and that's because of their big business donors. They want the labor force. The Democrats want mass illegal immigration because they believe that those people will become, or their children will become, a reliable generation of Democrat voters. You and me, we be damned. The ramifications on the country be damned. You don't really, pre-Trump, and really even, do we really believe, even in a post-Trump world, that other than Trump, most of these Republicans have their heart set on stopping illegal immigration? We saw the post the other day that, according to multiple outlets, Jim Baird and Messmer, two Indiana congressmen, have a bill that would provide certain amnesty to farm workers. We've never actually, outside of Trump, been serious about dealing with illegal immigration in this country, because the Republicans have their own reason for being invested in it. Now, they'll huff and they'll puff, they'll say stuff, but they never do anything about it. They never do anything about it. And so one of the things that happened from 2021 to 2024, Biden's presidency, was you saw a massive spike in home prices. We've covered it ad nauseum here. We've covered it ad nauseum. Obviously, the spike in home prices, the assessed value, has led to a massive spike in property taxes. We don't need to rehash that here. And of those, according to this working paper from the Federal Reserve, of those massive spikes in home prices that we saw from 2021 through 2024, roughly 30% of home price growth and about 20% of rent growth in an average metropolitan area was due to illegal immigration. It's a staggering statistic. And again, this isn't the Trump administration putting this out. This is a working paper from the Federal Reserve. According to the paper posted in the New York Post, every 1% increase in illegal immigration relative to the local labor force was associated with a roughly 2.2% rise in home prices, 1.4% increase in rents. Under Biden, the Congressional Budget Office estimates, and I think this is way low. I've said this for years. I think this is way low. I think you can double it. But we'll just work off their number because it's bad. Illegal immigration, net illegal immigration, that's in versus out, in versus caught, added roughly 7 million people to the U.S. population between 2021 and 2024. And those people, when coupled with the other side of the Biden immigration policy, which was these TPS workers, these H-1B visa workers, people legally entering, people legally staying in the country, you saw a flood of people enter the United States. And it's like anything else related to supply and demand. When you only have a certain amount of something and more people want it, the price of that thing is going to go up. This is not some new idea. And so, not really news, but the fact that you now have official government documents laying out how much it might have been. It probably was actually more. But the fact that the Biden administration willfully allowed, and look, Trump has proven, for all the critiques of Trump in the second term related to spending, inflation, affordability, one thing he's been very good on, the border. One thing he's really tried to do, one thing he's really followed through on, illegal immigration, dealing with immigration, period. Because again, you cannot overstate the amount of damage legal immigration has done as well. People coming into this country under temporary status who then get afforded the rights and privileges of the country in many cases. And they have to have somewhere to live. When we talk about, because we talk about it a lot here, we talked about it yesterday, the explosive growth, the explosive, irresponsible growth of so many of our central Indiana suburbs, a major reason for those is illegal immigration and legal immigration. Over the past, really Biden, and then we kind of have gotten a handle on it over the past year. And all of us have paid more for it. Now, there is certainly more to the rise in home prices than just illegal immigration. The reduction of interest rates, the ability of mega corporations to swoop in, getting even better deals than regular people could get, and buy homes from prospective home buyers and turn them into rentals, outbidding single families that wanted to live in the homes. That's certainly part of it. Inflation itself, the printing of money, the printing of trillions of dollars, of which the Republicans share in the blame of that, just like the Democrats do. But it cannot be overstated the damage that Biden's deliberate, willful allowance of people to illegally enter the country in a mass fashion, mass levels, the damage that it did to America. And you can't undo it. I mean, we've talked about the ramifications on the economy of all the decisions the government made during COVID. And one of the things we've talked about as it relates to the housing market is that a lot of people got in houses they otherwise would not have been able to afford because of the reduced interest rates. And so what happens is, hey, I can afford a house I couldn't have afforded before because of the reduced interest rate. The problem, I'm going to struggle to sell that house for what I paid for it now because it was bought on the backs of a 2.5% interest rate. Certainly the same type of people couldn't do that at 6%. I mean, I've researched my own house. Under current conditions, if I bought the same house today for the same amount of money that I bought it for a couple of years ago, several years ago now, time flies, I would pay like $600 more a month for the same house. Same deal, same everything, current interest rates versus what I got mine at. About $600 more a month. And I live in a very modest house. A lot of people bought a little bit bigger than they probably should have taken on. So you have these people that are stuck. They can't move because even if they could get their money back for the house, where are you going to go? What are you going to go to? I had this conversation with just somebody the other day that was saying, they're thinking about selling their house. They said, but where would I go? I might be able to do all right on my house, but where would I go? And then you're borrowing at 6%, 6.5%. So there is, and I think this is the big part of this. All of this is because of actions of the government. The irresponsible reduction of interest rates to try to hide the damage the government did by shutting society down. That's a bipartisan thing. The printing of money to, again, try to hide the damage that government did by shutting society down. That's a bipartisan thing. Republicans and Democrats. Now, in this case, what we're talking about here with at least, probably much more, but at least 7 million people flooding into the country in over a couple of years, that's the Democrats. That's not Trump. That's Biden. And naturally, when you are flooding more people in who require housing, again, when you factor in this estimate is probably low, and the large amount of people who came into the country legally under these various programs, you're looking at under Biden probably easily 15 to 20 million people in just these couple of categories. Well, in a country of whatever we are, 350 million people, you're looking at what? 7-8% of the total population? You can't sustain that. There's nowhere for these people to go, and then they get in bidding wars. I've told this conversation that I had, this has been a couple years ago now, a very prominent Central Indiana school superintendent who does not agree with me politically, but you guys know I talk to all sorts of people. And will not name this person. They're very esteemed in their field, and I wouldn't want to cost them any reputation by letting people know they associate with me. But they told me because even the libs acknowledge this. Even the more liberal people acknowledge this. Because it's screwing with them. It's screwing with the schools. The superintendent told me, he said, what our local governments aren't realizing when they're approving these housing developments. They see an assessed value and go, oh, look at this. $450,000 sounds like a lot of money for a house. Even in the current climate, hey, that's a decent price for a home, right? If indeed there were, 4 people living in the house, right? A wife, a husband, 2 kids. The problem is, because of so many of these people who have come in both legally and illegally, they don't live the life of a wife, a husband, and 2 kids. They live 3 families full of a wife, a husband, and 2 kids. And so you end up, instead of 4 people in a house and 2 kids going to the public school system, you end up with 6 or 7 kids going to the public school system and 10 people or 12 people in a house. And then, obviously, the schools and other government entities have to provide service to these people. So that $450,000 house, which might theoretically be a break-even or a moneymaker for the local school system based on the property taxes it pays versus the kids they have to educate. If it were 2 kids, well, when it's 6 kids, that's a massive loser. And then you get in the game of growth and expansion and not enough and not enough space. And now we got to do referendums and all this other stuff. And all of this stuff can be traced back to the idea that we put everybody else ahead of us. I mean, this all was done by design. A lot of these people in government, they aren't stupid. They're evil. There's no way they couldn't have known when they were printing $5 trillion in 2020. Hey, if you turn on the printing press, it's going to devalue the dollar, which means you're going to need more dollars to buy stuff, which means everything's going to get more expensive. There's no way they couldn't have known that. That's like basic money policy. There's no way they couldn't have known. If you reduce interest rates, it's going to drive the price of everything up. And it's going to embolden, empower people with the most buying power, which are large corporations. There's no way you couldn't have known that. Again, that's basic economics. I by no means have an economics degree. I get it. I got it at the time. You guys remember me shouting about this same stuff 5-6 years ago, saying we are on a path to hell with what we're doing. And the last part of it is there's no way you can let 15 to 20 million people into this country in a short period of time, a short window of 3 or 4 years, many of them illegally in the country, and not believe that's going to create all sorts of havoc and chaos as it relates to governments and as it relates to housing prices. By the way, the researchers found in this Federal Reserve working paper that the influx of illegal immigrants boosted employment little. So there wasn't while there was a huge spike in housing prices, it didn't do anything for wages. They described it as little measurable effect on wages. So it didn't raise the amount of money everybody was making. It raised the cost of living somewhere, money out of our pockets. But it didn't fundamentally raise wages. Again, no way this is done accidentally. No way they didn't know what they were doing. It's all been done by design. These people aren't stupid. They're evil. They know exactly what they're doing. Hey, if you guys have a dog, don't have a fenced-in yard, your HOA, maybe they won't allow a fence, worried about having to watch your furry friend anytime you go outside, avoid the blazing hot summers and freezing cold winters with All American Dog Fence. All American Dog Fence is the cost-effective, easy-to-use, in-ground fence system. Keep your dog secure and give you peace of mind anytime they're outside. All American Dog Fence is locally owned. The owners are Kelly and Jeff. They have 3 dogs themselves. They love and believed in All American Dog Fence so much they bought the company. By the way, All American Dog Fence, you guys probably recognize them. They used to be Indiana Dog Fence. Their owner, former owner, I should say, Bob Swarm, he's a huge fan of our show. Just found that out the other day. Bob watches us all the time. The current owners love us. The former owner loves us. So Bob retired recently. And the folks at All American Dog Fence, they wanted to thank Bob for building such a great company with Indiana Dog Fence that they took it over. And we want to thank Bob for being a regular viewer of our program. So you guys may remember All American Dog Fence as Indiana Dog Fence. They can beat the price of the big guys. They give you a better customer service than the big guys. You pick up the phone and call them. They're going to answer, or they're going to get right back to you. Call or text All American Dog Fence at 317-862-6606. 317-862-6606, or visit their website at allamericandogfence.com. That's allamericandogfence.com, and listen to this incredible deal. Right now, if you mention the Rob Kendall Show, you're going to get an incredible $200 off. Mention the Rob Kendall Show and get an incredible $200 off. All right, one other announcement. Many of you had asked. Of course, we told you we got a big thing coming up Saturday, October 3rd. Our pal John Rust, sponsor of the third hour. He is opening up his house in Seymour, the beautiful Rust Estate, to all of you, the listeners, the viewers of the Rob Kendall Show. He's having a big old party to celebrate America's 250th anniversary. Saturday, October 3rd. There's going to be patriotic music, antique car show, lunch catered by Double D's. You're going to get lunch out of it. And I'm going to give a little speech about how awesome the country is. There's a whole lot more. It's also Jason's birthday. Jason's birthday celebration. And you're all invited. It starts at noon. And I said, hey, we're going to have a way for you to RSVP. I mean, if you asked about it, I said, hey, we're waiting for John to give me the info. We have it. If you'd like to attend John's big event, coming out with me, Jason, we'll have a great time. It's in Seymour. Seymour's Oktoberfest, I believe, is that weekend. So when you get done at John's, there's other stuff to do. You could just send your RSVP email to Rust for America. How about that for an email? rustforamerica@gmail.com. RSVP. John does need an RSVP for you. Let him know who you are, how many you got coming, all that sort of stuff. Kids are welcome as well. rustforamerica@gmail.com. rustforamerica@gmail.com. Or you got all the details. You can see them for yourself at John's website, johnrust.com. johnrust.com. How about that? How great our sponsors are. They're like, here's money. Oh, we'll have a big party for your audience. That's the people that sponsor the Rob Kendall Show. All right. Don't forget, there's 3 ways you can help us grow the program. We call it like, share, and subscribe. Number 1, if you haven't done so yet, hit that little thumbs up button. Really helps us grow the program. Whether you're watching us live or on demand, thumbs up helps us out. Share it out, Facebook, Twitter, wherever you're listening from. Let people know all of our growth is organic. We're dependent on you to grow the Rob Kendall Show. And last but certainly not least, whatever platform you're watching us on, whatever platform you're listening to us on, subscribe to the channel. And by the way, being a subscriber on YouTube gets you into the YouTube chat so you can hang out. You can chat with the hundreds and hundreds of other amazing people in our YouTube chat each day. And of course, that opens you up to potentially getting your comment read at the end of the show. Producer Jason reads the best YouTube comments of the day, brought to you by Black Sheep Plumbing. All right, we've got a ton of stuff to get to today, guys. We've got this stuff with utilities is getting nasty. The fight is not over on that AES rate increase. I've got an update on the idiot who ran through my garage door. Talk about this. Unbelievable. We've got a whole bunch of audio related to the Graham Plattner stuff. Man, it's going to be an action-packed show. Don't go anywhere. We'll take a break. We'll be back. You're watching Rob Kendall Show.
Hi, I'm Lauren Wilson, Realtor with App Properties. I would love to get to know you. I know that buying and selling a home is a really big deal. You need a plan in place so you can succeed. And that's where I come in. If you are buying, let me help you find that perfect home. And if you are selling, let me help you find that perfect buyer. Look, we're all Rob Kendall Show fans here. That's why I'd love to get to know you. I'm Lauren Wilson, Realtor with App Properties, an Army veteran and a Hoosier through and through. Call me at 317-590-2290, 317-590-2290.
Do you have a dog but don't have a fenced-in yard? Your HOA won't allow a fence? Worried about having to watch your furry friend anytime you go outside? Avoid the blazing hot summers and freezing cold winters with All-American Dog Fence. All-American Dog Fence is the cost-effective, easy-to-use, in-ground fence system to keep your dog secure and give you peace of mind anytime they're outside. All-American Dog Fence backs their Pet Stop products with a lifetime warranty. Call or text All-American Dog Fence at 317-862-6606 or visit their website at allamericandogfence.com. Mention the Rob Kendall Show and get $200 off a new installation.
Buying a home or thinking about refinancing? Work with someone local who understands the central Indiana market. Gary Tedrow with Verity Mortgage helps homebuyers and homeowners explore options for purchasing, refinancing, or even consolidating higher interest debt through their mortgage. Gary's approach is simple, clear advice, and personalized guidance, so you can make confident decisions. Visit loansbygary.homes to learn more or get started today. You've got nothing to lose but dollars on your mortgage payment. So call for a free, no-obligation quote, 317-695-5179. Gary Tedrow, NMLS number 179207 with Verity Mortgage, NMLS number 70345, an equal housing opportunity lender.
Welcome back. It is the Rob Kendall Show. Thanks for joining us. If you haven't been to the website yet, check it out, robkendallshow.com. We got our live link up there, which you may have found if you're listening to us live already. But if you're on demand, you're like, I'd love to see this guy live. What does this no doubt handsome devil actually look like? Live link is there. All of the on-demand platforms you can find the show there as well. We've got articles of the best segments each day in articles if you like the written word, and we've got the support button. If you like what we do, you want to throw a few bucks our way. If you're like, I feel like such a freeloader watching this guy every day, not contributing, robkendallshow.com. We got a support button up there as well. Appreciate everyone. And as producer Jason said, our set is fabulous. If you always wondered, what does the set actually look like when they talk about the plants? See it all, robkendallshow.com. We got to talk about the drama with the IURC because they're coming back for AES, and this is fascinating to me. Before we do that, though, hey, you found your next home but haven't sold your current one yet? One of the biggest challenges homeowners face is coordinating the sale of their current home with the purchase of their next one. Gary Tedrow, Verity Mortgage, helps Central Indiana families explore bridge loan and home equity solutions that may provide flexibility during the transition. You know, we just talked about the craziness of the housing market with that last segment. That's where guys like Gary come in. They can help you manage the whole thing. Whether you're moving up, downsizing, or need to access your home's equity, Gary takes the time to understand your goals and walk you through your options. Visit loansbygary.homes to learn more. Loansbygary.homes to learn more. Gary Tedrow, Verity Mortgage, NMLS number 179207, equal housing lender. Okay, so we got audio on the Graham Plattner stuff that we're going to get to because now there's a bunch more things that have come out on this guy, which is unbelievable. But I want to talk about our utility bills because this is a massive deal. And before we talk about the latest with the IURC and the public, the utility consumer counselor, who is the advocate for ratepayers, trying to come back to the IURC to get another crack at AES, just a reminder. When we talk about the IURC, the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission, we're talking about a body that is emboldened, that is put in by statute, that is working off of laws passed by the General Assembly, the Republican Party. And so when people bitch about utility rates, when they bitch about the price of electricity, of gas, they do so, or they should do so, I meant to say, understanding that this body, this IURC, They work in the confines and the parameters of the rules and the laws put forward for them by the Republican government that runs this state. When our Republican governor says he wants to be pro-ratepayer, of course, the IURC plays a role. They're the ultimate final decision. But they're working off of a template that is set forth by the government that our governor, Republican governor, and Republican House and Senate control. If you actually want to fix and enshrine protections for ratepayers, you do it through the legislative process. We've laid this out with Nikki Kelly, who's reported on this a lot with the Capitol Chronicle. We laid this out last week on Statehouse Happenings with Jim Merritt. If you're interested in that, Jim Merritt's on the panel that makes recommendations to the governor about who to appoint to the IURC. It appears to be abundantly obvious to everyone but our governor that if you actually want to fix this issue, you have to fix it through legislative means, not just the IURC. The IURC is one part of the component, but they're not the biggest one. And it's very similar when we talk about property taxes, right? We've talked about how tinkering around the edges of property taxes, exempting this group or raising this deduction or giving this group a little bit extra, that's not going to fix anything. The structure is broke. The whole structure, the foundation of the home is broken. You can't, it's the equivalent, again, of patching a hole in the floor while the house is tilted on its side. Or painting the walls. I believe they call that rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. The same thing is true with energy prices, with utility bills. You can't give a company that is for profit a monopoly over anything and expect they're not going to do everything in their power to maximize profit. And that's what we have. We have seen time and again, a lot of it is because of these utility companies buy and sell to politicians. The amount of money they've given out over the years is staggering. But we've talked about how over the past couple of years, the price per dollar of profit to these for-profit, the 5 big for-profit utilities in Indiana, the investor-owned utilities, has gone up from 13 cents of every dollar to 15 cents of every dollar. And that's been done because of policies put in place by the government. Yes, of course, the IURC has been largely a rubber stamp, but a for-profit company that is given a monopoly, a complete lack of competition by the government is, of course, going to do everything in their power to maximize profit. That's why they're there. They don't care about us. I mean, this is not news, right? The overwhelming majority of companies in this world do not care about the consumer. They care about money. They want to keep you happy to some extent. They want you to keep coming back to use their product. But most companies exist to make money. And in the case of the utilities, unlike most other companies that have to keep the consumer happy, or you'll shop somewhere else, you'll use another product, you'll find competition. None of that exists with the utilities because they have a monopoly given by the government. They don't have to do anything. The only people they have to appease are the government. They don't have to appease you. What's your recourse? What's your redress? So the governor, all that being said, that's the background, right? All of that being said, the governor is clearly pissed off about his appointments to the IURC not delivering on his demand to not raise utility rates. And because of this public beef, the consumer advocate for state ratepayers, better known as the Indiana Office of Utility Consumer Counselor, is taking advantage of it. Good on her. This is smart. So remember, AES comes before. AES is the power provider for Indianapolis. People hate AES. They come before the commission. They ask for, I think, $190 million in rate increases, tax increases. You can't opt out of it. If you can't opt out of it, it's a tax. If I have to pay it, it's a tax. It may not go to the government, but it's a tax increase. I have to have air conditioning. I have to have lights. It's a tax. And they asked for 190-ish million in rate increases, tax increases. The new IURC, which 3 members were appointed by Braun, including the chairman, Andy Zay, don't give in on the 190. They come to an agreement on 70, I think 71 was the number of rate increases. So about a third-ish of what was initially asked for. Well, Braun blows a gasket on this because, as Braun always does, he never actually fixes problems. He just does something new and goes problem solved. See the IEDC. See property taxes. And we told you from the beginning, we told you dated back to last year on the old show when Andy Zay was the name put forward. I said, you ain't going to get a stop in rate increases because that's an institutionalist. He's a senator. He believes in the institution. You can't put an institutionalist in charge of the institution and think the institution's going to change. It was laughable. And instead of Braun looking in the mirror going, damn, I screwed up. Oops. He tries to blame, as he always does, everyone but himself, and he removes Zay as chairman of the IURC. And so the office, Abby Gray, I think is her name, the consumer counselor, utility consumer counselor is like, well, what do we have here? It appears not all is quiet on the home front. It appears there's trouble in paradise. It appears there's a crack in the system. Let's bring this back and try to see if we can get the IURC to reverse itself. Now, Braun can't remove, unless it's for cause, someone from the board. He can demote Zay, as he did. He's got another appointment he's going to make very soon. David Valletta, who is one of the other people along with Zay who voted for the rate increase, who is currently on the board, said, I'm out, I'm done. Read between the lines on that. He's basically like, I'm not dealing with this political drama. I'm not going to be a punching bag. I'm out. In a statement, this is according to the Indiana Capitol Chronicle, in a statement that was released on Tuesday, the OUCC, the Office of Utility Consumer Counselor, contended that the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission, quote, erred in its approval of the settlement with AES, with the settlement agreement involving AES Indiana, industrial customers, Walmart, and the city of Indianapolis. The petition called for, quote, special attention to essential affordability, which it said included reducing utility shareholder profits. Bam! That's it. You cannot have a for-profit monopoly set up by the government, condoned, set up, enabled, emboldened by the government. No, look, there are monopolies or antitrust that do exist in this country. Our sports leagues are antitrust. But they're not a necessity. It's not turning your lights on. You know, and people are mad right now about the NFL, and there's a push right now from the Trump administration, potentially, to say, hey, to the NFL, you can't be on 9 streaming platforms. You have this antitrust exemption. The antitrust is given around you being on public over-the-air broadcast television that everyone can access. You can't be double dipping. If you're going to be on 9 streaming platforms, you don't get antitrust. But at the end of the day, if I don't have the streaming platform that the Colts or the Bears, whoever your favorite team is on, that stinks. You're pissed off, but it's not keeping your house cool on a 100-degree day. They're different animals. And in the case of the utility companies, by the way, where else are you going to get content like this? Right? I mean, people don't get why we do as well as we do. Where else are you going to get this? Take note, people. Never mind. But the issue is that you have a for-profit monopoly put in place by the government that is increasing its profits. It's not that they're holding steady. It's not that they're hanging on by a thread. Their profit margin is going up. And that's the argument from the consumer advocate saying, hey, IURC, you are continuing to amp up the profits of this company on the backs of ratepayers who don't have the ability to shop around because essentially the utilities have the Indiana version of antitrust. Includes reducing utility shareholder profits, right? Those should come down. I shouldn't have to pay more so that you can't. Look, I don't have a problem with people making money unless you've rigged the system 100% in their favor and I can't shop it. And even though on most things, if I can't shop it, if I don't need it, then I just won't buy it. And I'm to some extent okay with that too. I got to have heat. I got to have cooling. I got to have lights. I got to have water. I got to have hot water. Like, this is not that. This is not, a DVD. Do anybody even watch DVDs anymore? Can you even buy a DVD anymore? I don't know. I picked like the worst one ever. You guys get what I'm saying, though. You guys get what I'm saying. Shareholder profits, confirming that ratepayers are not directly liable for rate case expenses and other, quote, unreasonable expenses. This is a great move by Abby Gray, the state consumer advocate. She is now trying to push this back on the IURC. She clearly has the governor, whether it's right or not. And there's a lot of people that think the governor may be acting inappropriately by what he's doing here. But whether it's right or wrong, you have the governor on your side. You have the governor making moves. You have public sentiment on your side. Why not give it another shot? This is the quote from the Indiana Utility Consumer Counselor, Abby Gray. Quote, affordability is my utmost priority, and I believe the IURC needs to re-examine its position on things like shareholder profit and rate case expense. Hoosier should not be paying for expensive attorneys and other unreasonable expenses so that shareholders can pad their pockets. Ratepayers have been tightening their belts for years. It's time for utilities to do the same. Yes, the problem on all of this, though, is it has to be fixed at the foundation. You ask our guys at Bramwell Mackay, right? Our fabulous sponsor, Bramwell Mackay, when they do repairs. If the foundation's broke, everything's broke. The foundation of how we do utilities in our state is broke. And until you make a concerted effort through the legislative process, of which our governor is the CEO, you're not ultimately going to fix this. It's the same thing with property taxes. Yeah, you can bully, you can intimidate, you can badmouth the IURC, and you might be able to get something here or there for some people. But then you're going to start getting these utilities with their previously referenced high-price attorneys who are going to sue the state into oblivion. And they're probably going to win. You might be able to piss them off once or twice, and they'll go away to not rock the boat too much. But you do it consistently, they're going to band together, and they're going to sue the state. Because they're going to say, look, here's the laws. These guys are getting fast and loose with the laws. Now, here's where this gets super interesting. Braun said the OUCC filed the petition at his request. Quote, affordability for Hoosiers is my top priority. At my request, the Office of the Utility Consumer Counselor today filed a petition for a rehearing of the recent AES rate case. Hoosier families work hard to make every dollar count, and utility companies must start doing the same. He is getting in it's a real fine line he's walking here. Because he's the governor. He gets his say when he makes the appointment. And look, I'm not talking from a right or wrong perspective. I'm talking from a legal perspective. And I have heard from multiple sources that there are some real rumblings about action related to how Braun has handled the whole IURC thing. Now, it doesn't mean ultimately it's going to come to fruition, but when you hear enough people chirping, you're saying, okay, there's something here. Not just how Braun has handled it publicly, how it's been handled behind the scenes. If you want the rate increases to stop, there's two things you have to do. You have to go to the General Assembly and get it fixed in statute through various means. You can cut off the amount of money these people can make. If you give them the monopoly, you can control how the monopoly works. You have to do it in statute. And Just ask the question when you appoint someone. Are you approving rate increases? Stop with all of this. Again, Braun does this all the time, and he gets away with it everywhere but here. Where he identifies a problem, it's like the Seinfeld, right? You're great at taking the reservation. You're not good at holding the reservation. Braun is great at identifying the problem, but actually solving the problem is hard work, and it will involve pissing off people that he's pretty close with or chummy with or have written checkerinos in his general direction. And he doesn't want to do that. You can't walk the thin line. You got to be all in or you got to be all out. And in the case of Braun, he appoints a guy who's an institutionalist because he likes the institution. Braun's not an outsider. He's an institutionalist. You don't go from school board to state rep to senator to governor. You are the system. You're not an outsider. You're a rich guy who controls the system. That's it. And then bitch about an institutionalist doing institutional things. You can't do that. All right. So that's what's going on with utility bills. I like that this consumer counselor is like, hey, everybody's mad at each other. Braun's pissed off. I'm going to take advantage of this, see if I can get something out of it. I like that. That's good move on her part. That's smart. Can I take a break now? Okay. We've got a bunch of audio when we come back, guys. This Graham Plattner stuff is fascinating. There's a whole bunch of stuff. The accuser is speaking. There's also audio from someone who claims he talked to Mitch McConnell, which is bizarre. And I got a huge update for you guys on the idiot who ran through my garage door. So we got a bunch of stuff to get to. Nobody does local like us. Indiana news, politics, and government. You can't get anywhere else. Stick around. We'll be back. You're watching Rob Kendall Show.
Right now, everything's expensive. That includes things you need around the house. If your water heater, water softener, or well pump goes out, or even if your toilet stops working, you could be looking at a major expense. Don't let your next call to a plumber break the bank. Call John at Black Sheep Plumbing. John is a Hoosier lifer who takes pride in and stands behind his work. That's why all basic services and repairs with Black Sheep Plumbing come with a 2-year parts and labor guarantee, with water heaters having a 6-year parts and tank guarantee. Call or text Black Sheep Plumbing for all your needs today and speak directly with John, the owner. 765-315-7558. That's Black Sheep Plumbing at 765-315-7558.
Did you know Honeysuckle Hill in Brazil offers more than just a fabulous made-from-scratch meal at the bistro? It also has an adjoining cottage, great for a perfect, relaxing weekend away with a scenic waterfront view. The cottage offers 3 bedrooms, 2 baths with spa-like tile showers, full kitchen, living room with fireplace, laundry facilities, and a full deck overlooking the lake. And Andy, one of the owners, delivers breakfast in a picnic basket at 8:30 each morning. Plan the perfect weekend away at the scenic Honeysuckle Hill property on the water in beautiful Brazil. Book today by visiting their website at honeysucklehillb.com.
Are you seeing cracks in mortar, moisture working through walls, facade or structural failure beginning to surface? Bramwell Mackay sets the standard for exterior and structural building solutions. Our 40-year master masons and industry experts address moisture intrusion, failing foundations, masonry deterioration, and more. From preserving historic landmarks to addressing modern building envelope issues, Bramwell Mackay delivers full-spectrum service with white-glove professionalism. In Indianapolis, call 812-33-BRICK. 812-33-BRICK.
Hey guys, welcome back. It is the Rob Kendall Show. Thanks for joining us. We're going to get into a bunch of audio here in just a moment. Plus, we got a big old hypocrisy alert. James Briggs has a column in the Star out about these ridiculous people, the Republicans, that are bitching about the city Democrats, city council Democrats, raising this wheel tax. And look, there are people like Andrew Ireland who are complete hypocrites. Like I saw this dude, Andrew Ireland, state rep. And this is what this guy does is he does what I call the Billy Badass routine on social media. And he banks on Nobody on our side holding him accountable, including the media. Our side, the conservative talk radio side. Because you know what nobody ever does with Andrew Ireland? They never look at him and go, you voted last year to raise taxes by $1 billion. Who the hell are you to bitch about the city county council to raise taxes by $50 or $70 million? I don't know if you guys can math. I can. $1 billion seems bigger than 70. And what guys like Andrew Ireland do, and this is the modern culture, where all we do is elevate people based on what sort of keyboard warrior they are on Twitter. And our side is to blame because our side, I'm talking our side in the media, because we let people like Andrew Ireland go on these shows and bloviate his bullcrap, and because we want to be friends with them, rather than hold them accountable, we don't ask the question. And it's not even a hard question. It's pretty damn simple. And anybody who don't ask it, you need to be asking why. Hey, Andrew Ireland, you voted to raise taxes by $1 billion last year. He voted for the budget. How do you get off bitching about Indianapolis voting for $70 million in tax increases this year when you voted to raise taxes by $1 billion? Why is yours okay and theirs isn't? And you know what he'd do if you asked him? Because there is no answer for it. It's dinner theater. And these guys, and Andrew Ireland's smart, and these politicians are smart. It's the same way, like, let's say you were interviewing Todd Rokita today. Let's say you had Todd Rokita on your show. How is the first question to Todd Rokita not, hey, clown, you admitted Diego Morales had scandals, plural. That's why you pulled your endorsement. Why did you think any scandal was okay? Why did you endorse anyone who had a scandal? Our side never holds these people accountable. And that's why our business is in the situation it's in, because people have figured it out that nobody's fighting for them. And there's all these Republicans now who are getting on some phony moral high horse in the General Assembly going, I can't believe the Indianapolis City County Council Democrats would raise taxes. I can't believe they would do that when they gave them the tool to do it. Again, it's the equivalent of, and any of these lawmakers who are doing this, and they are numerous, who are now acting like they're somehow better, like they somehow didn't make it happen. The numerous lawmakers who voted for the road funding bill, who enabled the city county council to raise taxes and not think they were going to do it. Every one of these lawmakers who voted for this road funding bill, who now feign some sort of outrage that Indianapolis Democrats are going to raise taxes or trying to raise taxes, you should ask them, what the hell did you think was going to happen? And they won't have an answer for you. So James Briggs at the Star has an article about just this, about how the Republicans, as I described it yesterday, you cannot give a bank robber a gun outside of a bank and then watch him rob the bank and go, that's outrageous that he robbed the bank. If you know what someone is and you give them the tool to do the thing to cause harm, then you are just as guilty, right? It's like if you drive someone to commit a crime, you're guilty. You're a part of the crime. You are, what do they call it? Accomplice to the crime. In this case, Statehouse Republicans who voted for the road funding bill are an accomplice to the city county council Democrats raising taxes. There's no way the Republicans sat around and said, well, we're going to give them this mechanism to raise this wheel tax. But we think they may actually just make the cut. Because that's what they're doing now. They're saying, well, we told them they could cut. The excuse is, we told them they could cut. Nobody believed they were going to cut. You handed the bank robber the gun. You are an accomplice to the crime. In this case, it's not a legal crime. It's just a crime against the wallets of the people of Indianapolis. So Briggs has this article, and I thought, he touched on a lot of these things we've been talking about. Wanted to read you a little bit of what he wrote. Statehouse Republicans didn't just enable a tax hike on Indianapolis, they encouraged it, tying $50 million per year in extra state money for streets starting in 2027 if the city accepts the state's, quote, new tools. Right. The city must provide, and goes through the match here, and this is where it gets interesting. The city must provide a local match of $50 million in 27, $70 million in 28, $80 million in 29, $90 million in 2030, and $100 million in 2031 and beyond. Match is misleading, writes Briggs. Match is a misleading term, writes Briggs, because the city must actually keep ratcheting up its spending just to keep receiving the state's baseline of $50 million per year contribution. Bingo. And I hate this, that Hogsett is the good guy in all of this. But Hogsett has said, I'm not going to sign, or I'm against raising taxes. And he has laid out a way to make the initial match. The local match of $50 million. And that's great. The question then becomes, where does the $20 million come the next year on top of the $50 million? And where does the $30 million come on top of the $50 million the next year? And the $40 million on top of the $50 million the next year? And the $50 million, and then every year. Indiana state Republicans knew this was the outcome. You can't act like you're upset. I mean, first of all, the idea that Republicans would ever act like they're upset about raising taxes is hilarious on its face, given the fact that just last year, when it came time to do their budget and they were short, quote unquote short, they actually ended up not being short anything, because now, remember, that's how they're doing the gas tax suspension. Remember, they're like, well, we're running a surplus. No, you're running over taxation. Due to our strong fiscal management. No, you overtaxed people. That's what a surplus is. It's overtaxation. And most of the Republicans voted for the $1 billion tax increase because they couldn't forecast revenue properly that they enacted last year to fund their budget. So again, every single one of these Republicans, the overwhelming majority of them who voted for the budget with $1 billion of tax increases, how could you possibly, with a straight face, sit in judgment of a local government raising taxes by $50 or $70 or $80 million? Over the life of this thing, I'm going to do a little public school math here on the fly. It's risky. 50 and 70 is 120. 80 is 200. 90 is 290. 100 on top of that, 390 million. So by 2031, there will be required 390 million in tax increases from Indianapolis, or 390 million in money, revenue, which they knew was going to be tax increases from Indianapolis. Now, I'm against the tax increases. But last I checked, all the way out to 2031, you stretch that out. What's that, 5 years? That's still a fourth of what the Republicans raised taxes on for one budget. The problem is these guys get away with it. The media doesn't hold them accountable. The media doesn't ask the obvious question. Who are you? By the way, most of these Republicans, not all of them, but most of them, also voted to give the governor unlimited tolling capacity. They gave away their authority over tolling. Again, not all of them voted for this. The budget is separate from the road funding bill. But it was a Republican bill that passed the Republican House, the Republican Senate, signed by the Republican governor. When you look at the $6.5 billion we're proposing to toll on I-70, well, last I checked, $6.5 billion was a hell of a lot more than $390 million. And you gave your blessing, you gave your consent, any Republican who voted for that, by allowing Braun to have unlimited tolling. You knew what he was going to do. As soon as he got it, he said, I'm going for the tolling. It's the hypocrisy. And the problem is we don't, on our side of the conservative media, we don't call these people out. And I don't know why. Some of them are the most boring people alive. Their ratings kryptonite. They just say the same stuff. You don't need them. One of the things I learned very early on, and we do some interviews. We do different interviews than you're going to hear anywhere else, though. We do interviews when the people or the cause is interesting. But one of the things that I learned very early on, and I first heard this from Rush Limbaugh, he's like, politicians are boring. Well, you know, Rush very rarely ever did interviews. And he said they're boring. They all say the same stuff. They all go to the same school. And yet people in our business, for some reason, believe they need the politicians in order to make it work. They don't. You're the entertainer. Be entertaining. You don't need these people regurgitating ridiculous BS talking points. And if they're going to do it, hold them accountable. It's not hard. It's not hard. These are not gotcha questions. They're actually questions of intense public interest. How is $1 billion in the budget of tax increases different from $50 million with the city council? For any of the people who voted for a road funding bill, which enabled the governor to propose $6.5 billion of tax increases on tolling on I-70, how is that better than the city county council? Call me old-fashioned, call me crazy, but where I come from, a tax increase is a tax increase, no matter who does it. Briggs goes on to write, and again, I want to preface by saying, if the Republicans actually cared about tax increases, they should have put in the legislation, they should have put in the law, this has to come from existing money. You have to cut your way to it. You have to reestablish priorities to it. Okay, no problem with that. But I'm not going to give the Republicans any benefit for knowing who they were dealing with, knowing who these people were and how they were going to act, and then acting outraged that they did exactly what they were going to do. They didn't do that. They wanted it to be tax increases. Briggs goes on to write, now, Statehouse Republicans are silent while council Republicans weasel out of the deal their party engineered. Now, he's referencing, like Josh Bain came on our show, City County Council Republican, and said, I was there. I went to the state and asked them to do this. And one of my issues with Bain is that he's a smart guy. I feel like he knew, in the super minority that the Republicans are on the City County Council, how the Democrats were going to respond to this. And I feel like Bain's smart enough to know they were going to go for tax increases. That's what Briggs is referencing here. You have to know who you're dealing with. You have to know who your teammates are. You have to know who your competition is. And Briggs goes on to write, and with Mayor Joe Hogsett threatening to veto any tax increase, council Republicans hold the votes that could decide whether Indianapolis captures the state's road money or walks away from it. Now, that's not necessarily true because Hogsett has identified the money for this year. Next year, different story. But Hogsett has identified the money in the current spending plan for 27 to get this matching fund. So it's not incredibly accurate. Now, again, future years, yes. Briggs writes, the passenger car fee in particular would hit hard for low-income residents renewing their registrations for the first time under the higher tax. Remember, the current tax is about $20 a vehicle. It'll go to $100. We're talking $80. We're talking 5 times the current tax increase, or the current tax rate in a tax increase. If the Republicans who came up with this idea can't look Indianapolis residents in the eyes and take responsibility for the higher fees, then maybe Indianapolis really should just say no to the money and accept our third world streets. Again, I reject the premise that in a $1.8 billion budget, you can't find $50 million in year one. It's 1% to 2% from the budget. That's not a lot of money. Now, that gives you time to get the wording altered or whatever. I don't think you have to reject it outright. I don't think it's an either-or thing. I get what he's saying. He closed by saying Council Republicans should provide the votes to override Hogsett's likely veto if and when it comes. If they won't, they should at least call Pressel in Houston, Jim Pressel, head of transportation in the House, Todd Houston, the Speaker of the House, and ask what the Statehouse intended for Indianapolis to do with HE 1461 if not raise taxes. That's the bill we're talking about here. He's right on that. Todd Houston, Jim Pressel, any Republican who voted for this road funding bill, the mechanism that is allowing Indianapolis to do this, should be held to account. They should be forced to acknowledge, what did you think was going to happen? What did you think they were going to do? How do you envision them cutting $100 million by 2031? How does this work in your mind? And the other question they should ask is, if it's about fixing the roads, why does the number to get the match elevate? Why does the number elevate, and why isn't it matched dollar for dollar? I think that's a very fair question. Why do, in order to get $50 million in 2031, do we have to cut 100? Or when I say cut, it's money they have to put forward for roads. Why do we have to put $100 million forward to get 50? Again, Indianapolis is the economic center of the state. It's not just the economic center, it's the travel center. It's everything. You have a lot of people who use Indianapolis roads who don't live here, who come here, they go here. It doesn't happen really anywhere else. Certainly not with the volume it does in Indianapolis. Now, there's also a competency question. Just giving money to this city ain't gonna make it work. And so I'm fine with some of the guardrails they put around about how the money has to be used. But I think there's issues all the way around on this thing. I think the state has been, I think deceptive is probably the right word. I think there's a lot of people who are big old fat hypocrites that bitch about tax increases in Indianapolis, yet have voted to raise taxes, or mechanisms for taxes to go up. And nobody ever gets held accountable. It's gross when the Democrats do it. It's gross when the Republicans do it. You've paid enough. You should hate everyone that takes more of your money. Everyone. Hey, guys, it's Wednesday. That means Double D's Barbecue in Clayton, open for business. They're open Wednesday through Saturday, right there on 40. Right there by 40 and 39. It's Wing Day. They have daily specials. It's Wing Day, Jumbo Wing Day at Double D's Barbecue. Our old pal C Mills, he went out for Wing Day last week. He's like, I'm a bit of a wing connoisseur. These things are amazing. C Mills, the official wing connoisseur of the Rob Kendall Show, said Double D's Wings, they're spot on point. Is that what the phrase was looking for? Spot on point? Spot on. Spot on. Yeah, I mixed two together. You try talking for 3 hours straight. See how many mistakes you make. By the way, don't forget, Double D's Barbecue. They do ribs. They do brisket. They do more. They've been the winner of both Best Ribs and Best Sauce at Ribs Fest in Hendricks County. See the menu for yourself. Authentic wood-smoked Memphis-style barbecue. Great for lunch, great for dinner. Everything made by scratch, made from hand each day. Check out the full menu. ddbbq317.com. ddbbq317.com. All right. I still got to talk about this dude who ran through my garage and the update with that. But before I do that, let's play some audio, shall we? Let's play some audio. So, Graham Plattner, we talked about him a bunch. He's this lunatic running for Senate in Maine. And there have been all these allegations about inappropriate behavior, about that he had the Nazi tattoo, that he was screwing around on his wife while he was running for the Senate seat, that he was on a app that is suspect, allegations of stuff in a porta pot. Like, the guy is a complete skis ball. But so is most of the Congress, so it's not really that surprising. Well, then the allegations got upped a notch when a woman came out the other day and claimed, hey, this guy forcibly raped me. And she identified herself. She told the story in great detail. She claimed the guy, Plattner, had been liquored up. He forced his way essentially into her home. And Jenny Rassicot, I believe is her name. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. But she has now started to do interviews about this. And what's interesting about this woman is she says, I agree with him politically. This is not a political sabotage. I would vote for him if I didn't know him. If I didn't have these horrible experiences with him, I would absolutely vote for him. And of course, then a whole flood of people who had supported this guy through all the allegations, some of the stuff has been absolutely provable. They're not even allegations. Stood behind him because they want the seat. The left people stood behind him because they want this seat. He is a far left lunatic. And now they've all started to abandon him. So this woman went on CNN and she talked about why she is speaking out. She sat down with Jake Tapper. She talked about why she's speaking out, why she didn't come forward in the past, why now. Here's what she had to say.
When the New York Times story came out, you were in it, but you didn't go as far in that story as you are today.
Yeah.
Why not?
I didn't want to. I didn't want to have to violate this huge level of privacy to my own life to be able to infer that this person is not honest and trustworthy. I felt really protective of my own privacy throughout this whole process. And it got to a point where my privacy was no longer going to happen. And that was when I kind of just made the decision that, like, I'm going to say my piece and get it out there. I had tried to give the impression that something, worse happened. And that's when it was like, I refused to comment further.
You definitely alluded.
So the issue here is the people that stood behind this guy. Look, for those of you who don't know, and I think we touched on a little bit yesterday, the Democrats in Maine believe the seat is very winnable. The balance of the Senate probably rests on what happens in Maine. Susan Collins is the Republican. She's very liberal, but she's been there forever. And that happens, right? There are states where even though the state may have a more Democrat or Republican tilt, there's some guy of the other party or some girl of the other party who just keeps winning. They find a way to thread that needle. And Susan Collins has been that for years now in Maine. And they believe she's super vulnerable because of Trump. And running against Plattner was found by the left. He's a Bernie Sanders guy. Bernie Sanders got on board with him. Was the governor, the current governor of Maine, I believe Mills is her last name. And she's very sort of moderate, middle of the road. And the people have said, nope, we're not doing that. We're taking over. And it goes back to what I've talked about before with the socialist people. There is no peace. There is no working with them. There is no getting along with them. They're taking over. That's their goal. Not just take over the Democrat Party, which they're doing in rapid fashion. They're taking over the country. And so they said, we're going with this Plattner guy, despite there being all sorts of stuff from the very beginning about him, including he has what is obvious to most people, a Nazi tattoo. Like with Hegseth, that quickly got disproved. Even the mainstream media was like, yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. We might have jumped the gun on that one. It appears it's not a Nazi tattoo. Oops, we're sorry. With Plattner, they're like, yeah, it probably is a Nazi tattoo. That probably should have been your first cue. And they stood behind this guy through all of this stuff, not because they believed him, but because winning was more important than anything else. They don't care about who the guy is or what he's done or what she's done. If it's a woman, I mean, it's true for men and women. It's the stuff they do. And now they've abandoned him, not because of this latest allegation, but there's a new allegation that's even more bizarre. We'll get to that in a second. But because they think he's going to lose. It's exactly what we just saw with Diego Morales. Different set of allegations, but the same premise. That's why I said, anybody who ever interviews Todd Rokita, the first question should be, you're the chief law enforcement officer of the state. You in a press conference referred to scandals, plural. Why, sir, as the chief law enforcement officer for the state, did you tolerate a single scandal? How that is not the first question from anybody anytime they interview Todd Rokita is beyond me. But it's the same premise. All these people care about is winning and power. Both sides of the aisle. We're talking about Plattner right now. But is it any different, other than the scandals, than what we saw with Diego? They only dumped Diego when they knew he couldn't win anymore. Scandals, plural. All right, so then Tapper goes on to ask the woman exactly what happened. If she would quantify it as what happened to her was rape, she says yes.
Let me be as direct as I can. Did Graham Plattner rape you?
By definition, yes. Absolutely.
Because he had non-consensual sex with you.
Yeah.
Forced himself on you. Mm-hmm. Even after you had told him no and fought him off.
Yeah. He violated multiple layers of consent that night by coming into my home when I asked him not to, and by advancing on me when I told him not to, and furthermore, another incident that I had told him not to do, and
with protection.
Yeah. So, yeah. By the way that my nervous system reacted to this experience, absolutely.
You can go ahead and step out if you can. I'll talk about this for a minute. You got time. Yeah, it's fine. Look, our show, we don't kid you what's going on here. We're two guys. Jason's got to step out for a second. He's like, I got to play more audio because I got a lot more audio to play. But I know he's got something he's got to do real quick. So, yeah, it'll be fine. We'll come back to more of the Plattner stuff here and just look. Again, we're not a megacorp, guys. We're two dudes. Things come up. We got things to do. I've got more Plattner audio that I want to play here. But first, we talk about the new allegations. So it brings us to the new allegations because this woman referenced it. This is a different woman making the allegations than the one we just played for you. But the new allegations are wild against Plattner. And at this point, you're like, it all sounds believable based on the stuff that's been kind of proven. This is the problem of where we're at with this now. Some of it could be false. You don't know. But there's enough evidence to the stuff that's been proven that you're like, okay, now any of it kind of seems like it's believable. This allegation is wild. So the Washington Post put out a report, and again, it's a different woman, but it was just alluded to in the audio you just heard, in which a new woman has come forward claiming Plattner removed condoms during sex without consent. I read this, I was like, what? You know what? It's an act called stealthing. Lindsay Feifeld is the woman's name. She's outed herself. Claims she dated Plattner from 2013 to 2015 in Washington, D.C. And she told Plattner on multiple occasions, and again, like this is like uncomfortable to even talk about. It's so weird. But this guy, and I feel like we got to, I stayed away from the Plattner stuff for a long time because I'm just like, it's kind of a national story. I'm uncomfortable, like even getting into some of it because it's so bizarre. It's like, I don't know how to bring it back local. And then you kind of realize, well, you do have to talk about it because this guy wants to be one of the 100 most powerful people on the planet. He wants to lord over all of us. He's running for Senate in Maine, but it would affect all of us. I feel like, you got to talk about some of it because the stuff just kept getting more and more bizarre. So this woman claims she dated Plattner from 2013 to 2015 in Washington, D.C. And she told Plattner on multiple occasions he had to wear condoms during intercourse because she was not on birth control. This is what she told the Washington Post. This is unbelievable. He would pull condoms off. He would do it in a sneaky way. He wouldn't tell me. Now, again, there's been nothing to prove this allegation that I'm aware of, at least as of us starting the show this morning. Plattner's campaign called the claim, quote, categorically false and politically motivated. They then tried to basically say this woman, the new woman, is politically motivated because she had previously supported Brett Kavanaugh during his Supreme Court confirmation. Which is interesting because the other woman, the one we just played for you on CNN, who claims Plattner sexually assaulted her, is an avowed super liberal. So they couldn't do that with her, but they're doing that with this woman. She estimated, this being the woman, this Fiefeld, the woman from Washington, D.C., estimated that Plattner removed condoms without her consent at least 6 times at both of their residences in Washington, D.C. during a 2-year on and off relationship. She said that she told him she was upset about him doing it, that he would make light of the situation. Quote, I confronted him both during and after intercourse because he knew that I was not on birth control and how dangerous that was. She said in another interview, that was in one interview with the Washington Post, in another she said, quote, he would act like cute about it, oh sneaky me. Okay, I'm hesitant to even handle this because it's so bizarre, but I feel like we have to because it's a national news story and this guy's running for Senate and he could easily win. I mean, this is the crazy thing about the whole Plattner stuff. Despite all of this stuff that's come out on him, he could still win. And there's been all these calls to drop out. We're going to play you some of that here in a moment. There's been all of these calls for him to drop out. Yet the polling still shows the race pretty close. And he hasn't dropped out yet. And quite frankly, as we talked about yesterday, if you're him, why would you drop out? Short of them having accusations that he's like John Wayne Gacy and has bodies in his basement, like what else could come out on the guy? My question on this is, I mean, that seems like a pretty heinous thing to have done. Like that's a huge violation of trust with your partner. If he did it 6 times, which again, these 2 women, separate of each other with separate political belief systems, it appears, are telling or referencing similar stories. But why would you engage in a 2-year relationship with someone who is repeatedly doing this? And it doesn't go into that in the article. That's my question. If you knew he was doing it, you've espoused to him how serious it is, which good on her. You've made it very clear that's unacceptable. Good on her. Why did you keep engaging in the relationship over 2 years with this person? That would be the question that I would have. But again, the broader thing here is that all of these politicians, whatever's in the true in this or not true in this, there's been enough stuff that's been proven about what a just complete dumpster fire this guy is, but the Democrats stayed behind him. The Democrats, when confronted even as recent as a week ago, Bernie Sanders just now pulled his endorsement. All of the other stuff was not enough for you to drop the endorsement because winning is the most important thing. Winning is all that matters. And it's true. Again, we're picking on this guy right now or pointing out about this guy because he's just the latest one. But it happens on both sides of the aisle. Not maybe this specific thing, but these cases of these just complete and utter dirtballs who get free pass after free pass from politicians because the winning, the holding onto the seat, the party is the most important thing. We're talking about people who want to become one of the most 100 powerful people in the U.S. government. When we're talking about someone running for U.S. Senate, we're not talking about your town council or city council. We're not talking about your county council. I mean, not that it would make some of this stuff okay regardless, but yeah, there should be a high standard if you want to be a United States senator. I mean, say what you want about the politics of our senators, Banks and Young. And you know, I don't care for either of those guys for different reasons. But there's never a hint of any sort of inappropriate personal behavior. I am not happy that Jim Banks and Todd Young are my senators, but there's nothing in their personal conduct that has ever been raised that you're like, oh, what an embarrassment. I mean, if you're if you're a U.S. senator or you want to be a U.S. senator, there probably is like the most basic level of conduct you should abide by. And whether these allegations are true or not, there's enough proven now about this Graham Plattner that you're like not abiding by the code of conduct. Like, hey, if you're running for Senate and you're like messaging other women, and again, I don't care about people's personal lives until they want to lord over me. Then I kind of care. And I actually don't even care about your personal life before you were running or in the office. I don't really, as long as you're not doing anything illegal, I don't care. That's your business. But I do care when you're running or in the office that you've been elected to and you behave like this. Or in this case of Plattner, he's not been elected. He's running. And there are credible allegations that this guy was behaving wildly inappropriate while he was running for Senate. It opens you up to all sorts of stuff. Like, blackmail, right? Blackmail. You're a U.S. senator. This guy is so unfit. But we're seeing on both sides of the aisle, we're in a new phase now, where winning is all that matters. And look, the guy has tried to pin it on, I went to Iraq and I had the military, I think it was Iraq he went to. I was in the military, I had this damage from my time there. That may happen, and it does happen. And God bless all of our people who have served in foreign countries, who have served in any country, who have served in any capacity. God bless you. Thank you for that. And unfortunately, military service can cause real problems for people. And those people deserve the help that they need. And we should transition them back into society and try to make their lives productive and happy and all of that. No objection to any of that. But this guy was running for U.S. Senate. That's a different ball game. You can't say, oh, the war or the military service screwed me up, then don't run for Senate. I'm sorry. That excuse not going to work with me. See, I told you I keep talking that whole time. Okay, so here's more audio now that Jason is back. Brandon Gill is a Republican congressman. I believe he's from Texas. He was on Fox News, and he said this, he's right. The left picked Graham Plattner because he was a caricature of what they think white men are. I thought this was interesting, and I thought he was spot on. Take a listen.
Graham Plattner didn't just come out of nowhere from Maine. Party leaders looked for a candidate that they believed would resonate with young white men, and they found the biggest scumbag they possibly could, because Graham Plattner is the caricature of white men that Democrats have in their heads, and that's who they think can carry that message. I think that we're going to win. The facts are obviously on our side, and I think the vast majority of Americans outside of the liberal enclaves on the coasts find this kind of behavior and rhetoric and character absolutely repellent.
Look, again, we've seen this play out here. What did the Republicans do? They enabled Diego Morales for 4 years. They knew what he was. They turned a blind eye to it. They endorsed him. They supported him. They told you how great he was. And then, not because of what he did, but because it was abundantly clear, especially with Greg Ballard in the race, he was going down and they were going to lose the office, and they pulled their support. It's exactly what's happening with Plattner. Put the mirror up, Indiana Republican Party. I am he as you are me, and we are all together. I am the walrus. Goo goo gajoob. It's just, and nobody holds these people accountable on any of it. Here, they just let them get away with it. And they'll let them badmouth Plattner and not ask, yeah, but what about this guy? So Maine is now desperate. The Maine Democrats are now desperately trying to get Plattner out. I think they have until July 13th to get him out, and then they can appoint someone to take his place. Now, there's all sorts of rumors going around. There's rumors out there that say Plattner's not leaving. There's rumors that he'll leave if he can appoint his replacement. Like, there's all sorts of stuff going on. The executive director of the Maine Democrat Party addressed this. Here is what she had to say. Take a listen.
The Maine Democratic Party has been working around the clock to develop a process to replace our U.S. Senate nominee that is open, inclusive, transparent, and fair. The integrity of this process. Hi, everyone. I wanted to provide you all an update on the U.S. Senate race here in Maine. As you know, the Maine Democratic Party has been working around the clock to develop a process to replace our U.S. Senate nominee that is open, inclusive, transparent, and fair. The integrity of this process is just as important as the outcome, and we are committed to ensuring that Democrats across our state can have confidence in both. Unfortunately, Graham Plattner's team has repeatedly reached out to us in an attempt to put their thumb on the scale of what this process looks like. We have repeatedly reiterated to Graham Plattner's team that they have no role in determining our next Democratic nominee for the U.S. Senate, nor in determining what this process looks like. We have also reiterated that Graham Plattner must drop out of this race so that Democrats in Maine can focus on defeating Susan Collins this November. We look forward to making this process public as soon as Graham Plattner formally withdraws from this race.
Here's the problem, lady. He doesn't have to quit. They're acting like it's a fait accompli that he has to quit. Why would he quit? I mean, what could be worse than the stuff that's come out about him? If you were him, why would you quit? It's the same thing with Diego. Diego was like, you guys can kiss my ass. You ain't gonna spill the beans on me because you guys get implicated in whatever I did, at the very least through not doing anything about getting rid of me. You won't say anything. I'm going to run a convention. Now, he lost, of course, and he's going to stay Secretary of State for the next 6 months. But Diego was like, you won't tell anybody what I did. Now, Plattner's a little different because he's not a sitting office holder, and I don't, the establishment hates him. The establishment Democrats would love to get rid of him. But it's like, what at this point could be any worse than what's come out? This woman's acting as though like she's in control of the situation. And now he may very well quit. Who knows what sort of deal is going to be made? But the bigger issue is you guys created him. You had a moderate middle Democrat running against him and nobody spoke up. Because you guys are scared of the left. We've talked about this before. The left, the Democrats, the mainstream Democrats are getting eaten alive by the left, and they're scared to death to do anything about it. They're petrified. They're frozen in fear. And when you create the monster, when you enable the monster, when you embolden the monster, you can't then bitch about the monster behaving like the monster. All right, one more piece of audio. Scott Jennings is a conservative commentator on CNN. He is from Kentucky. And he claimed yesterday that he talked to Mitch McConnell. Now, remember, for background, nobody's seen or heard from Mitch McConnell in weeks. His staff claims he's recovering. Laura Loomer claimed he was brain dead. There were reports that he was basically dead and brought back to life, that he had to be resuscitated. There's been no photos. There's been nothing to prove that Mitch McConnell is alive and well. Only random people are like, yeah, I talked to him. And Scott Jennings is one of these people, and CNN, to their credit, asked him if he'd call into the program. Could you get Mitch McConnell to prove that he's alive? He didn't seem to want any part of that. Then he got asked if Mitch McConnell should put out like any proof of life. Like, how about a photo? How about a video? How about a guy hold up 2 fingers? Let us know you're alive, right? He didn't want any part of that either. This was very bizarre. Take a listen.
The MAGA media ecosphere, shall we say, has been driving a lot of the questions about where Mitch McConnell has been and what has happened to him. You, of course, are in tune with that in the role you have on your radio show. Do you think they should put out a picture of Mitch McConnell, that he should release more to the public to quiet this noise?
Yeah, I think Al had a good point about McConnell's general disposition towards privacy. I sometimes wonder, like, if I were laying in a hospital bed, would I want a bunch of people around photographing me? Probably not, particularly if I were an 84-year-old person who's normally private about his health. Probably not. But I take the criticism. I think it's a fair question about transparency. I think it's a fair question about whether they've done enough. But ultimately, these office holders, they're in charge of their own operations. And it may be somebody around him says, let's put out a picture, and he doesn't want to do it. I think that's a fair observation from Al. But All I can tell you today is all the rumors about him being dead or brain dead or, being his body's being hidden somewhere. I've seen all kinds of crazy things on the internet. That's obviously not true because he picked up the phone and called me, and that was a good thing.
That is unbelievable. And shame on him. He's a U.S. Senator. Mitch McConnell, unlike Plattner, who's just running for U.S. Senate, Mitch McConnell's a sitting U.S. Senator who has disappeared. And him not saying should you prove you're alive if you're a U.S. Senator? How could the answer not be yes? He's a U.S. Senator. He's not working on our behalf. At the very least, he's not showing up to vote. We have the right to know why. I have the right as a taxpayer to know why this guy's not showing up to vote. And so this is my point on all of this, because it's both sides of the aisle. Nobody holds anyone accountable. All those people who were for Plattner, who pulled their endorsements, should be held to account. All those people who were for Diego, who pulled their endorsements, Rokita, all of them should be held to account. The first question when anybody interviews these people, why? What changed? In the case of Todd Rokita, scandals plural, chief law enforcement officer for our state. Why was one scandal okay? But there's a litany of these people who were with Diego, who pulled the endorsements. It isn't like we are in such a team sports society now where the winning and the power is all that matters that we can't even get Scott Jennings to say, yeah, he probably should just put out a nice 2-minute video explaining where he's at and what's going on. Look, if a U.S. Senator can't put out a 2-minute video explaining where he's at and what's going on, he's clearly in no condition to U.S. Senate, and he needs to quit. It's all, we suffer because of all of this. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, talk about the latest on this moron who ran through my garage door. All right, all you can do is laugh sometimes. We'll take a break. We'll be back. You're watching Rob Kendall Show.
Is your driveway showing signs of wear? Freeze-thaw cycles, road salt, environmental buildup like mold and dirt can all cause unsightly damage that can end up in an expensive repair. That's where Seal Now comes in. Seal Now are the clean, seal, and stain professionals that can help you protect your outdoor surfaces. Got a worn-out fence or deck? They can revive the look while providing long-term protection. Call today, 317-548-2002, or visit sealnow.com. Not only will you get a free estimate, but mention you heard about Seal Now on the Rob Kendall Show and receive 20% off any long-term sealing project.
Is the inside of your house a total mess, like a complete dumpster fire? Call AJ's Picture Perfect Cleaning. When you walk into your house after using AJ's Picture Perfect Cleaning, you will see and smell the difference. They take great pride in their workers and treat your home like their own. All cleaners pass through a background check and drug screening. Call today and mention you heard about AJ's Picture Perfect Cleaning on the Rob Kendall Show, and you will get an incredible $50 off your first clean. AJ's Picture Perfect Cleaning serves all of Central Indiana. Book your appointment today by calling 317-530-8148. 317-530-8148.
If authentic wood-smoked barbecue is your thing, Double D's Barbecue in Clayton is the place for you. Owners Dennis and Tina Duncan, along with their son Garrett, are from Memphis. So when it comes to barbecue, they're not screwing around. No pellet smokers, no roasters, just authentic wood-smoked Memphis-style barbecue. All of Double D's food is cooked fresh daily, and it's all made from scratch. Double D's Barbecue, located at 40 and 39 in Clayton, is open all day, Wednesday through Saturday, but get there early because once they're sold out, they're done. Check out the full menu, ribs, brisket, and more at ddbbq317.com.
Hey guys, welcome back. It is the Rob Kendall Show. Thanks for joining us. If you haven't done so yet, help us out. Help us grow this fabulous program. Hit the thumbs up button, like the show, let people know we're out there, share it out if you got a Facebook, if you got a Twitter. That's the way we grow. That's the way we grow. Like, share, subscribe, help us out. Of course, we got the support button up there as well, robkendallshow.com, robkendallshow.com. We mentioned this earlier as well. Our third hour sponsor, John Rust, he's got the big event coming up October 3rd at his palatial estate in Seymour. You, the fabulous Rob Kendall Show audience, are invited. There's going to be lunch catered by Double D's. It's all in celebration of America's 250th birthday, the patriotic music, antique car show. I'll be there giving a little speech, a whole bunch more. The email is set up. You got to RSVP to go because he needs to know how much food to make, etc. It's Jason's birthday as well. We'll be celebrating that. rustforamerica@gmail.com is the email address, rustforamerica@gmail.com. And so join John, Rust, myself, Jason, and a whole bunch more. October the 3rd, no charge, thanks to John Rust. John Rust is always the one paying the charge. Okay, let's talk about this dumbass that ran through my garage door, shall we? We have an update. So you guys may remember back in the middle of May, some idiot who was one of these third-party drivers for a delivery service fails to put his car into park while he's dropping off a package. Now, they're not supposed to drive on the driveway for that reason. This guy, as we'll talk about, has the IQ of a potted plant, and I'll tell you what's going on in a moment. He clearly can't abide by those general rules. He drives into the driveway, fails to put his car in park. I see it all on the camera. My wife is home at the time, and I see it on the camera. Like, he gets out of the car is still moving. Somehow he doesn't realize that that's still happening, how a car could be moving and you don't realize it. And like, it's one of those videos you'd see on the internet that you chuckle at if it were someone else, but it was me, and just smash right into my garage door. And thankfully, no structural damage is done to the house. The car in the garage was not damaged, but the garage door was completely smashed to smithereens. And, you know, my wife calls me. I said, hey, call the police. We need to file a report. We do. This guy, you know, English was not a strong suit for him. And I had a feeling when I got home, because I got home as fast as I could, the guy was still there. He came to the door. That English not being a strong suit, I was going to be in for some trouble. But he has a driver's license. The police take the report. He presents insurance. It's like, okay, he's checked all the boxes. Clearly English not the best thing for him, it appears, but he's checked all the boxes. So we'll get it figured out. So contact my insurance. They say, hey, we got this. No problem. You know, here's what your deductible is. We're going to pay for the rest. We'll collect from his insurance. We'll get your deductible paid off. It'll all be fine. Okay, great. Thank you. So book with the garage door company. The parts are backed up that they need. They say, hey, it'll be, you know, a few weeks, 4 weeks, I think, to get it fixed. We'll be out. And I was like, that's pretty backed up. They're like, yeah, everything's backed up. Thanks to, as the aforementioned, everything sucks in America. I said, okay, fine, thank you. So they're supposed to come out today, finally get everything scheduled. They're supposed to be out this afternoon. And, you know, a month or so has gone by, and the insurance company was, you know, got a hold of them and said, hey, do we have an update on what's going on with this deductible, right? I know you guys want to get your money too. You've already fronted a bunch of money on this. I'd like to get my deductible back. Can you let me know what's going on? And so the insurance people write back and they said, yeah, this guy didn't turn this into his insurance company, so we had to contact them ourselves. So we'll let you know when we hear something back. I thought, oh no, that's not going to go good. Why would he not have turned this in, right? There's a police report on this. The guy is, you know, the information's out there. You has to know what's going to happen. I would think that's a big no-no not to turn that in to your insurance company going, hey, there's going to be a claim against me. Please help. So then a couple days ago, I get an email from the insurance company, and they say, hey, it appears the insurance this guy said he had, he didn't actually have. And they said, so we're going to try to get this guy through various means, the party involved through various means. It's going to take us a little longer than expected, but we'll do our best. What money we get, you're going to get your deductible first. Obviously, we're out a bunch of money too, so we're going to do our best to get the money from the guy. And I said, whoa, what do you mean he didn't have insurance? He presented insurance to the cop. Like, he presented the information to the police. What do you mean he didn't have insurance? And they said, well, it appears, based on his insurance company, he had insurance at one point. And then by the time the accident happened on your property, he no longer had that insurance. I was like, is it possible he grabbed the wrong insurance card? They said, well, we scoured. I guess the insurance companies have the ability to scour other people's insurance. And they said, we sure didn't find any, if any existed. And I said, well, I'm no expert here, guys. But I think you have to have insurance to drive a car in the state of Indiana. And they said, yes. Yes, you do. I said, well, I have faith that you guys will collect this money eventually. You've already paid for a sizable portion of this. I'm sure you want to get that back. But this guy is momentarily screwing me out of some money for my deductible. I want him to pay. What can I do? And they said, well, you can call the local law enforcement and let them know this guy appeared to not have been honest with them and he didn't have insurance. And so I said, okay. So yesterday I called the local police department. I said, I'd like to file a complaint. I don't think this person had insurance and he told you he had insurance. Lying to you guys has got to piss you off just a little bit. So they said, okay, great, thanks. The guy who took the report, he'll call you back. Give him some time. Thanks, great. So they called. They were very fast. And here's what they told me. And this blows my mind. And they were very responsive. They were very receptive. The Brownsburg Police Department was fine. And I knew the officer that called. He's been there forever. He was, when I was on the town government, he was there. Very nice guy. And he said, look, he said, I am filing a citation against this guy. I am sending this to, the other problem was there were multiple addresses. It appeared the address on the driver's license did not match the address where the car was registered to. and he said, so here's what I'm doing. He said, I'm sending citations to both of said addresses, and I'm reporting this to BMV, and the fact that he's driving without insurance, it appears they will strip him of his driver's license for a period of time, 60 days, 30 days, I'm sorry, 3 months, 6 months, whatever it was. And I said, okay, couple of questions, right? And I get this is about your pay grade. You can just lie to the cops about not having insurance? I mean, the guy did damage to my property, right? It's not like you pulled him over and it's, not that it's harmless, but like I'm out money right now. Now I'll get the money back eventually, hopefully, because I don't think the insurance company's into business of losing money. But I'm like, I'm out money right now. These people are coming here to do the work. I've got to pay them. I was counting on having my thing reimbursed. He can just lie to you. He's like, well, he can't drive without insurance. But he lied to you about having the insurance. He was driving without the insurance. What? So you're telling me that the guy can drive through my garage door. You show up and they would say, where's your insurance? He says, I don't have any. And all he gets is a citation? That's it? Well, his license will be suspended, and in order to get it back, he's going to have to go through the process. He was driving around without the insurance. I don't think having a driver's license, which didn't match where the car was registered, was all that big of a deal to him. I don't think he's going to stop doing what he's doing, and instantaneously, when he gets your citation, go, I've really harmed the Kendall family. I need to make this whole. And the officer was kind of laughing. He goes, yeah. I said, so all that happens to this guy, we're all told how important you have to have insurance and how important that is. And look, I don't know if this is what the guy did. It certainly appears it could have been. He probably had to have insurance to get the job, to be the driver. He got the job. The insurance suddenly went away. Now, maybe there is some insurance hiding somewhere that nobody's aware of. And maybe when he gets the citation, he'll say, as a great and decent member of society, I need to rectify this and alert them to where my current insurance is. But I was like, what? If that's the only penalty, why would anybody, unless you're just worried about your name getting tarnished and making the papers, which I don't think this guy is. I don't think he maybe can read the papers, much less worry about being in them. Why would anybody get the insurance if all the penalty is you get a fine or whatever? I can't remember exactly what the penalty is, but this citation, which I guess is a fine, and then you get your license suspended, but clearly you didn't care all that much about it. Like, why would we have and the officer said, unfortunately, this happens all the time. I was like, really? He goes, oh, yeah, we deal with this all the time. Then why would anybody have the insurance? Like, how could there be a law and that's the only penalty? And again, like, I would have felt better if he's like, yeah, this is very rare this happens. He's like, no, this happens all the time. So some guy can break the law. He can drive through my garage door, which I haven't been able to use my garage door for 2 months. He inconveniences me. He lies to the cops, it appears. I mean, maybe there is a solution. Allegedly, maybe there is an answer to this that I'm unaware of. My insurance company sure couldn't find it. The cops apparently felt it was relevant enough that they're sending him said citation and alerting the BMV of it. And there appears to be no punishment because he probably really doesn't give a damn about the driver's license. And I'm out the money and out getting able to get my garage door. How is that government working for me, in which the guy who did all the stuff doesn't really appear to get much of a punishment at all? Hell, who knows where he's even at right now? And I'm the only one who gets financially, well, the insurance company got punished a lot more than I did. I'm just out the deductible. But didn't get to use my garage door for 2 months. What? How is that working for the people? Jason, remember when we had the radio station and the guy bounced the check on us? I'm going to, when Jason joins us later, we'll ask him about that because Jason dealt with all of that. There was a guy that bounced a check on us one time, and the prosecutor was basically like, well, there's not much we can do. And they didn't. And that was another state. So it appears it's all the states where if you just want to be a complete piece of garbage and totally disrupt others. And like I said, the cop was like, oh, this happens all the time. So apparently it's happening to a lot more than just me. And I told the cop, I said, don't worry. I'm going to get my deductible worth of show content out of this. And I'm going to find this guy. I told my old man, I said, I'm tempted. I know where he lives now. I'm tempted to go find him. He's like, no, don't go find him. Yeah, there's 2 of them. He said, no, don't go find him, whatever you do. So that's the latest on that. I will have a new garage door. It will cost me a few dollars, and this scumbag will just roam the fruited plain, having to live with the fact that he doesn't have a driver's license, I guess, soon, potentially. Some punishment. If you have been through a stressful event like I have, and you're like, I've got to get the hell out of here, why not head out to our friends at the Honeysuckle Hill Bistro and Cottage? Located on the water in beautiful Brazil, plenty of opportunity to relax, to get away, to reflect. Hope somebody doesn't drive through your garage door while you're gone. Check out the menu this week at the Honeysuckle Hill Bistro. Now, a reminder, they're open Friday for dinner, Saturday for dinner, Sunday for brunch buffet. Listen to some of these options. Steak Diane, country steak pork ribs with honey bourbon sauce, key lime cheesecake, chocolate pie with pie crust, handmade by Jody, the owner. All of that available and so much more. Just Google Honeysuckle Hill Bistro, see the full menu. And don't forget the cottage. You can stay the weekend on the water, scenic lakefront view. The cottage is awesome. They got it all. 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, spa-like tile showers, full kitchen, living room with a fireplace, laundry facilities, full deck overlooking the lake, and more. Andy and Jody, they are awesome. They're huge fans of our show. Whether it's to reserve a spot at the bistro for dinner or brunch buffet or the cottage itself, give them a call. 812-443-3003. 812-443-3003. Ask our super fan, Ken Eagold. He goes out there all the time. You will not be disappointed. All right. Time for another break. This is our 4th break, right? Okay. Yeah. We got a lot more to get to today, guys. There's a fascinating article. I saw this. And this is the, having owned a radio station, there are a group of people trying to block ABC from getting their licenses renewed from the FCC. We're going to teach you guys how the FCC works when we come back. Our personal experiences will be your education. We'll take a break. We'll be back. You're watching Rob Kendall Show.
Hi, I'm Lauren Wilson, Realtor with App Properties. I would love to get to know you. I know that buying and selling a home is a really big deal. You need a plan in place so you can succeed. And that's where I come in. If you are buying, let me help you find that perfect home. And if you are selling, let me help you find that perfect buyer. Look, we're all Rob Kendall Show fans here. That's why I'd love to get to know you. I'm Lauren Wilson, Realtor with App Properties, an Army veteran and a Hoosier through and through. Call me at 317-590-2290, 317-590-2290.
With a lakefront view in beautiful Brazil, the Honeysuckle Hill Bistro and Cottage is a little out of the way, but totally worth the trip. Down home, made from scratch food, just like the good old days at Grandma's. When you visit the Honeysuckle Hill Bistro and Cottage, you'll leave more at peace than when you came in. Open 5 to 8 for dinner on Friday and Saturday, and Sundays 11 to 1:30 for the buffet. You must experience the Honeysuckle Hill Bistro and Cottage. Call 812-443-3003. 812-443-3003.
Are you seeing cracks in mortar, moisture working through walls, facade or structural failure beginning to surface? Bramwell Mackay sets the standard for exterior and structural building solutions. Our 40-year master masons and industry experts address moisture intrusion, failing foundations, masonry deterioration, and more. From preserving historic landmarks to addressing modern building envelope issues, Bramwell Mackay delivers full-spectrum service with white-glove professionalism. In Indianapolis, call 812-33-BRICK. 812-33-BRICK.
Hey guys, welcome back. It's the Rob Kendall Show. Story. Okay, there's two stories I have to get to. What do we want to do first? There's a local story that my mind is blown on how little people had to do to get government benefits here in Indiana. Or we can talk about the FCC potentially coming for ABC. What do we want to do? Which one first? We're going to get to both of them. By the way, I'll go ahead and do the announcement now before I forget. Our third hour each day brought to you by John Rust. Thanks to John Rust. Don't forget, RSVP for the big event, October 3rd at the Rust Estate. rustforamerica@gmail.com. rustforamerica@gmail.com. An event special for all you fabulous Rob Kendall Show viewers, listeners, etc. Let's talk first about how little you had to do to get benefits from the state of Indiana. This is crazy. So, last year, one of the major changes that the federal government did was adding work requirements into getting Medicaid. Now, remember, Medicaid is basically Obamacare. And remember, in our state, we're not honest with you that we're on Obamacare. We lie and call it the Healthy Indiana Plan. It's Obamacare. Just to go back in the time machine of how this all happened. So, when Mitch Daniels was governor, before and in the early days of Obama's presidency, before Obamacare was passed, Mitch Daniels created a program and said, look, there are a lot of people who are working who don't make enough to afford their insurance. They're working, they're doing everything the right way, they're part of the system, but because of their income level, they don't make enough for subsidies, they don't make enough for their insurance. We don't want to incentivize people going off of the work rolls, right? We want to incentivize work, which is a good thing. So we're going to create this program called the Healthy Indiana Plan. And it was very small, not very small, but it was much smaller than what it would become. It was narrow in scope, and it incentivized work. That was the whole thing. You go work, you prove you're trying, we're going to help you out, bridge the gap, because we want to keep you off the government dole. And it was fine, and that worked well for Indiana. Then Pence became governor, and Obama was president. And the dirty secret with Republicans, of course, is they love big government. They want to lie to you about loving big government, but they love big government. And Obama, after Obamacare, had all these mandates given down to the states in order to get the money. And really what it ultimately was with the mandates was the expansion of Medicaid. That's what Obamacare really was. Two things. Give away to the insurance companies, billions and billions and billions of dollars of give away to the insurance companies, and expansion of Medicaid. And so because Republicans, as we've seen time and again, are wholly invested in big government and legalized vote buying, they said, we want those freebies from the feds. And Obama said, you got to expand Medicaid. You got to do Obamacare. And so Pence, instead of standing firm and was like, kiss my ass, we're not doing that. We don't want your money. he cut a deal with Obama. And the deal Pence cut with Obama was, what if we kind of do Obamacare, but we don't call it Obamacare? Because that'd be bad for me because I'm trying to run for president. What if I just steal the previous guy's name, because everybody liked the previous guy, Mitch, and I apply it to your stuff, but we just don't call it, we call it my thing instead of yours. And Obama was like, you dumb sack of you-know-what? I don't care what you call it bananas. I want people on government insurance. I want people on government subsidies. I want people dependent upon the government. You call it whatever you want as long as you play by my rules. And Pence said, okay. And they called it, literally, HIP 2.0. Healthy Indiana Plan 2.0. That's how lazy Mike Pence was. Couldn't even come up with a new name for it. HIP 2.0. Except this version had all sorts of federal mandates attached to it, which were the people you had to let on the rolls. And so very quickly, it went from a program designed by Mitch Daniels to bridge the gap on people trying to do things the right way that were working, that couldn't afford their insurance, to this massive government subsidy in which let's get as many people on the program because it was bound by federal regulations. It was set up by federal rules. And you had to play by the federal rules, which meant let the people on that the federal people said you had to let on, which was basically a do-drop-in policy. And so that went along under Pence. It was expanded under Holcomb, and then COVID happened, and it turbocharged everything. And the state of Indiana was throwing people on the Medicaid rolls left and right without any sort of acknowledgement, someday we're going to have to pay the piper. Because what the federal government was doing during COVID, both under Trump and Obama, was they were subsidizing putting all these able-bodied people on the Medicaid rolls. People who had no business not working. People who had no business not having jobs, many of them having insurance. But because we wanted you to believe we could shut society down without any real ramification to you, part of the legalized vote buying was we'll give you insurance. And so that went. And then the federal government ran out of money. And the federal government finally said, we're stopping this almost full subsidy. You've got to start paying part of it as we've always done before. And the state of Indiana said, crap. They probably used a word other than crap. But now that we're preparing for the future and we're being radio friendly here, we don't use profanity. Well, we don't use words that aren't FCC applicable. That's our standard. And they said, what are we going to do? Our programs are massively underfunded because we threw all these people on as part of the legalized vote buying because it was backed up by the federal government. And now we have seen over the past couple of years a crisis point by the state of Indiana where they don't have enough money to pay the bills and they're throwing people off the rolls left and right, including throwing people because they can't monitor it properly. They can't administer it properly. It's too big. They don't have enough people. They've started targeting people who actually need the stuff. A lot of able-bodied people are still on the thing, while the people who need the stuff are getting thrown off or their lives are being made hell. We talked with our super fan, Michael. Well, we talked to his mom, Debbie, at our live event. Ask Debbie what she's going through now. Michael is as disabled, her son, as a person could possibly be. He has cerebral palsy. He's in a chair. He can communicate, but he can't talk. We love Michael. He listens to us every day. We love you, Michael. But because they've been throwing people off the rolls left and right, there's all these new requirements Debbie has to go through. She doesn't know if she's going to get approved. And the other thing the state has done, because they're desperately in search of dollars, because they put all these clowns on who shouldn't have been on there. And again, the people who got on are not to blame. They followed the laws. Any person who follows the law who gets a benefit, it's not the person's fault who gets the benefit, it's the government's fault. It is what the government set up. It is what the government made people do. It is government put people out of work. Government shut it down. Government hands out the benefit. I'm not blaming any person who got on a roll. I blame the government for all of this. But because they put so many people on who could work, they had to start cutting the payments to parents, brothers, sisters of the severely disabled. And the end result of that is going to be those people are going to end up institutionalized because people got to work. And if they got to work, they can't watch their loved ones who are severely disabled. It's a mess. The FSSA, Family and Social Services Administration in Indiana, is a mess. Now, one of the things that happened under Trump last year, because there was none of this under Biden, I mean, just the timeline of this, it started under Trump with COVID, Biden put it on steroids, and then it got to the point where it was just completely unsustainable, as we told you it was going to be for years and years and years on the old radio show. It was obvious, and no one would listen. No one would listen. I mean, plenty of you were listening. Nobody in a position of power would listen or do anything about it. There were plenty of people listening. But one of the things the Trump administration did in the big, beautiful bill that they passed last year is they altered Medicaid to require work. If you're able-bodied, you go to work to get the benefit. And so now the state of Indiana is desperately trying to effectively administer these work requirements because they're out of money. They're thrilled to death with this. But think about that. So here's the requirement now, and this is from the Indiana Capitol Chronicle if you want to read the whole story. The Indiana Family and Social Services Administration is preparing to phase in work requirements for able-bodied Hoosiers ages 19 to 64 who participate in Medicaid's Healthy Indiana Plan. At least we call it Medicaid's Healthy Indiana Plan now. At least we acknowledge what we're doing. It's Medicaid. It's Obamacare. At least we do that. Think about that, though. Until now, if you were an able-bodied adult, 19 to 64, there was no work requirement. What planet are we living on where that's okay? You're able to work? We're not talking about the severely disabled. We're not talking about the elderly. We're not talking about the infirmed. We're talking about somebody my age, 40 years old. Go to work each day. You didn't have to do that? What message is that sending? The agency released new details this week about early compliance for new applicants and how Hoosiers enrolled in HIP can fulfill their monthly 80-hour work requirements. That's all you got to do. That's 20 hours a week. It's 4 hours a day. I work like 12. All you got to do is 4 to get the subsidy. I mean, we're still devaluing work with this. That's ridiculous. How is it not 160? If you're between the ages of 19 and 64, you should be working. Look at Jason. He's in that higher end of that. He works. No, I didn't say you're elderly. I just said you're on the high end of that. I'm in the middle of that. Like, what are we doing? Yes, the old people. Don't work. You're great. We love you. You've done your part. I'm fine to pay for your health care. Older. Age is a state of mind. I feel 107. But I'm fine with that. I'm fine with it. And we talked about this in our live event. The people like Michael, the severely disabled, we should do everything we can to give them the best life possible. Everything we can. His parents, who are willing to take care of him and do it better than anybody else, should absolutely be 100% compensated for that. And let's give Michael the best life possible. I'm as limited a government person as you'll find. That is one area where I'm like, government should totally be involved. Well, the people should be involved. That's right. I mean, think about how many illegal immigrants are still getting health care in this country. Think about how many illegal immigrants are still in our hospitals. I mean, even think about the temporary people that are getting all these services. Right? Listen to these statistics about how many people were on this program. We're on this program. Keep in mind, we're a state of 7 million people. We're a state of 7 million people. Participation in HIP reached 815,000 in April 2023. 815,000. That means, what is that? What would that be? That'd be what, almost like 15% of our state? Is that right? 815,000 divided by 7 million. And then that's a percentage. I'll give you a percentage. That's what is it, 12, 13%? Something like that. I'm just trying to do math off the top of my head because 700,000 would be 10%. Okay, 11%. More than 10% of our state, many of them who are able-bodied, capable people who could have gone to work, many of them at jobs that would have helped them pay for their insurance, we were funding them. Not those people's problem. If the law is written to do it, you do it. I ain't mad at you. I'm the guy that's like, take every applicable tax break imaginable to you. Don't ever feel bad. How does that possibly work in society? Where more than 10% of our populace, many of them able-bodied and capable of working, were getting other people to pay for their stuff. The enrollment fell to around 671,000 when Braun signed work requirements into law last April, and fell to around 487,000 in June, a full 6 months before the work requirements were scheduled to take effect. So just the threat got half the people off the program. Think about that. We enabled this. The simple threat of saying, hey, in 6 months, this is coming, got almost half the people off the government dole. And we did this for years, guys, like a decade. It grew over a decade. And it was on steroids for like 3 or 4 years. See, when people talk about you can't cut government, I present this to you. Look at the millions of dollars that has been found. I don't see people dying in the streets. I still see people getting medical care. We said you have to go work, or at least fake working, or let's do something that resembles work. 20 hours a week. That's it. What a freaking joke. We devalue work in our society. That's what we do. We devalue work. Eric Holcomb and the Republic, and see, again, it's easy to pick on Holcomb because he was the governor. But the Republicans in our state went along with all of this, the supermajorities. And now they act like they're heroes for fixing the problem they created. Going all the way back to when they signed off on Pence striking the deal with Obama, in which everybody knew that's Obamacare, but we'll just lie to everybody because Pence wants to run for president, but he wants the freebies. So we can't call it Obamacare. The estimates from the Urban Institute and Robert Wood Johnson Foundation suggest anywhere from 102 to 116,000 Hoosiers could lose their eligibility due to the 80-hour work requirement. So there's another 115,000 people that have just refused to work 20 hours a week who can. Think about that. 115,000 people who are totally capable of working 20 hours a week. That's a part-time job, guys. That's Walmart or Lowe's or Burger King. Listen to like the other things that qualify, by the way. Internships, apprenticeships, and regular employment will all count towards work hours, as will time spent in school, so long as participants are enrolled in school at least half time. Like, they're still trying to make it just practically a giveaway. Exemptions include pregnancy, caregiving responsibilities, medical frailty. Apparently, they haven't met Michael. If medical frailty is an exemption, Debbie, have you sent pictures? Substance use disorder treatment or recent release from incarceration. Oh, so we're going to pay for the inmates. That's great. Though documentation will be needed to qualify. Well, apparently a lot of it. Good grief. Just unbelievable. We just have totally devalued work in our society. Totally just hard work, believing in yourself, going out, making a living, doesn't matter. Speaking of hard work, nobody works harder than our friends at Bramwell Mackay. You got a masonry color mismatch? Previous repair catching your eye? Not happy with the brick color on your home and ready for a total makeover? Bramwell Mackay Property Services and consultants offer specialized masonry staining and recoloring. Whether you want to seamlessly blend repairs to completely transform your home's exterior, or you want to build something new, Bramwell Mackay's 40-year master masons design and construct custom patios, sidewalks, outdoor summer kitchens, archways, entryways, and more. Bramwell Mackay. They've been with us from the beginning, guys. They are mega fans of our show. They do incredible work. Any work you need done around your house, they're your guys. BRAMWELLMCKAY, BramwellMackay.com. Beauty built to endure. All right. Let's take our final break. When we come back, I got to tell you about the FCC coming after ABC. This is wild. This is crazy. They're trying to revoke licenses for ABC, and we'll educate you on how the FCC actually works. We got some experience with these guys. I'd like to say it was all pleasant. I mean, nothing bad happened to us. I'm just saying it's a total pain in the ass to deal with the FCC. It's the most government thing ever. We'll tell you about it. We'll take you behind the scenes when we come back. You're listening to Rob Kendall Show. Do you have a dog but don't have a fenced-in yard? Your HOA won't allow a fence? Worried about having to watch your furry friend anytime you go outside? Avoid the blazing hot summers and freezing cold winters with All-American Dog Fence. All-American Dog Fence is the cost-effective, easy-to-use, in-ground fence system to keep your dog secure and give you peace of mind anytime they're outside. All-American Dog Fence backs their Pet Stop products with a lifetime warranty. Call or text All-American Dog Fence at 317-862-6606 or visit their website at allamericandogfence.com. Mention the Rob Kendall Show and get $200 off a new installation.
Right now, everything's expensive. That includes things you need around the house. If your water heater, water softener, or well pump goes out, or even if your toilet stops working, you could be looking at a major expense. Don't let your next call to a plumber break the bank. Call John at Black Sheep Plumbing. John is a Hoosier lifer who takes pride in and stands behind his work. That's why all basic services and repairs with Black Sheep Plumbing come with a 2-year parts and labor guarantee, with water heaters having a 6-year parts and tank guarantee. Call or text Black Sheep Plumbing for all your needs today and speak directly with John, the owner. 765-315-7558. That's Black Sheep Plumbing at 765-315-7558.
Buying a home or thinking about refinancing? Work with someone local who understands the central Indiana market. Gary Tedrow with Verity Mortgage helps homebuyers and homeowners explore options for purchasing, refinancing, or even consolidating higher interest debt through their mortgage. Gary's approach is simple, clear advice, and personalized guidance, so you can make confident decisions. Visit loansbygary.homes to learn more or get started today. You've got nothing to lose but dollars on your mortgage payment. So call for a free, no-obligation quote, 317-695-5179. Gary Tedrow, NMLS number 179207 with Verity Mortgage, NMLS number 70345, an equal housing opportunity lender.
It's the Rob Kendall Show. Thanks for joining us. Hope you're having a great... What is today? Today's Wednesday, right? All these days run together. Kid is off daycare this week. So as soon as I get done here, well, I got to do Statehouse happenings. Then I go home. It's like a 24/7 work routine. Oh my gosh. Anyway, I hope you're having a great Wednesday. If you haven't done so yet, guys, help us out. Hit that like button. I know we're pesky. We ask a lot on that, but that thumbs up, that really helps us grow the show, keeps the numbers up, helps us with the algorithm. I know it's a lot, but we ask because it's important. Hit the thumbs up, help us grow the show here at Rob Kendall Show. It really, we really appreciate that. Statehouse happenings. Speaking of Statehouse happenings, we're going to record that here when we get off the air today. That means it'll be posted tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Start your Thursday off right with the biggest Indiana news, politics, and government stories of the week in 30 minutes. It's Jim Merritt, it's Abdul, it's myself. 30 minutes, bam, bam. You're up to date on everything that's going on. You can think of it like an extension of the Rob Kendall Show. We also have a sports betting show coming your way starting in the middle of August. And we got our pros. Kenny and David are going to be with us. We're going to talk about college football. We're going to talk about NFL football. Man, it's going to be great. Talk about all the ways that, man, sports betting, it's fun. You got to have some constraint, right? You got to have some rules around yourself, but it's a lot of fun. Our pros are great guys. They break it down. And look, I always enjoy having a little action, give it a little more entertainment on the game. Take a game you don't care about, give you a reason for $2. I could have 10 cents on something and give me a reason to watch. So we'll be telling you more about that here coming up in the next couple of weeks. Our sports betting show going to start middle of August. A lot of stuff going on here over at Rob Kendall Enterprises. All right, let's talk about this story from The Guardian and how there are people, and it appears there is at least some level of support to pull licenses from ABC. Now, the way television stations work is there are stations that are owned by the property, but there are also affiliates. There are people who run ABC programming. We're not talking about that. We're talking about stations actually owned by ABC. And according to The Guardian, a group of prominent conservative organizations has petitioned the Federal Communications Commission, the FCC, to deny license renewal requests for the 8 local television stations owned and operated by ABC. These are in major television markets. Places like New York, Los Angeles. Now, again, a lot of people are ABC affiliates. They're not owned by ABC. They accuse the network of political, racial, and sexual bias and supporting the Chinese Communist Party. Now, let me explain. I know most of you probably are familiar with this, but let me explain to you how this works. If you own a terrestrial television or radio station, you are governed by the Federal Communications Commission. And that you are granted what they call a license. And your license gives you the right to broadcast on that frequency. The license is for a select period of time. I think it's 8 years with radio. I think television is the same. And every 8 years, your license comes up for renewal. And when your license comes up for renewal, it is a public process. You have to prove certain things, or really, the community is given an opportunity to prove you didn't provide certain things, or you behaved in a way that does not fit kind of what they call community standards. That's very broad. And for many, many years, the FCC gave great leeway to programmers on what they could put on their stations. Now, you couldn't be using profanity. There are words that'll get you fined. You couldn't be overpowering your station. If you had to turn off and on at certain times, you had to do that. You had to keep a public file of programming you did. You have to do certain levels of community programming, all of these things. But by and large, you had to run your EAS test. You had to prove you had to, during severe weather, the alarms would go up, all of those things. But by and large, as long as you did those things and had a certain level of community programming and served the community and, abided by the rules, you could kind of run whatever programming you wanted, and the FCC would leave you alone. In the modern political climate, that's not how it seems to be working anymore. Because one of the things the FCC used to say is, look, you're granted a license, we oversee that license, but we value free speech. And you as a radio station owner have proven you meet certain requirements. I know, I've been through this. I've owned a radio station with Jason. We've both been approved by the FCC and renewed by the FCC and given an FM translator by the FCC. So we were primo radio station owners. We abided by all applicable rules and regulations. We were repeatedly told, you're great, you do a fine job. And for those of you guys who don't know, and I assume this is the way it's still done, when your license goes up for renewal, whether you're a radio station or TV station, you have to publicize both on your entity and in the paper of record in the community you serve that your license is up for renewal. And during that period, the public may comment on why you should or should not be renewed. Now, unless you're doing something egregious, nobody ever comments, right? Like, what are they going to say? They didn't run enough high school basketball games. We think they should be taken off the air. You gotta really try to anger the community to get a huge. They can't just say, I want that frequency. Gimme, gimme, gimme. You can't just be like a local competitor and say, I do a better job with the mayor show. Get these guys out of here. That's not how that works. You got to really prove some violations have occurred or they're not serving the public trust or whatever. Just simply saying, Rob Kendall's on that radio station. Let's use WIBC as an example. You couldn't just say, I don't like Rob Kendall. I don't like that he's mean to the Republicans. You should not renew MS or now Urban One's license for WIBC. That's not how that works. In fact, Urban One or MS would probably say having Rob Kendall on or Tony or Hammer Nigel or whoever actually is serving the public interest. They don't violate the rules. They're not using racist language. The swearing they do is within the confines of what's permitted. And we are public dialogue. And it's true if it were a liberal station or conservative or whatever. But you gotta try pretty hard to lose your license. But one of the things that is being challenged now, and it is ahead of an actual license renewal for these stations, are these conservative groups saying the behavior of these ABC-owned stations, a lot of it related to Jimmy Kimmel, is so egregious that the FCC should pull the licenses of these ABC stations. And if they did, you're talking, based on where ABC owns these frequencies, these licenses, billions of dollars of damage. I mean, you are always cognizant as a radio station or television station owner that your ultimate master you have to please is the Federal Communications Commission. And generally, especially the lower fish, like we were low fish, as long as you don't inflame the situation, as long as you do the basics, they leave you alone. But there's always in the back of your mind, damn, that would suck if the FCC showed up at my doorstep and pulled my license, because I would be trucked. I would be something other than trucked, but I can't say what it is. And so I mean, look, it really is a racket. I mean, you have to have special attorneys. Oh, those guys are really expensive. Holy smokes. I can't imagine what they charge today. It was really expensive back then. And they specialize in doing all the FCC paperwork, filing all the stuff. And it's one of the arguments that people like myself and many, many, many others who have operated radio stations, television stations have made, why terrestrial radio is dying, is because terrestrial radio has to abide by all sorts of rules that say we don't have to here. You know, one of the things in various people that we've had conversations with recently, doesn't mean it's going to go anywhere, but conversations we've had about terrestrial outlets potentially adding this show to their programming slate is, hey, we got to be cognizant of how we're going to deliver the feed and make sure that even though you can, here use those words, you can't with us. That's why over the past couple months we've tried to be very cognizant of all our interviews are pre-recorded. So if somebody uses the big one like somebody did the other day, we can bleep it out. Right? So, but the petition, so there's a petition now from various conservative groups into ABC's diversity, equity, inclusion efforts. And they're trying to say that ABC is operating against the public interest. According to The Guardian, in a petition to deny filed last Monday, the group, and there are numerous groups, I'm trying to figure out which one they're referencing here. It doesn't matter. Anyway, one of the groups said the stations were not being operated, quote, in the public interest, in part because of ABC's programs show, quote, show a consistent and overt partisan bias, citing the group's past complaints about late-night host Jimmy Kimmel and the network's moderation of a 2024 presidential debate, among other concerns. Okay, guys, this is kind of scary because part of owning a radio station is you're allowed to have opinions, or owning a television station. And I don't have to agree with them. I don't agree with Jimmy Kimmel's opinions. But the same way as I was allowed to be on terrestrial radio for 9 years and give opinions, so is Jimmy Kimmel. And my opinions are different than Jimmy Kimmel's, and I support Kimmel's right to have them, and I support my right not to watch him, which I don't, because I don't agree with the stuff, and I don't think he's funny. He used to be funny. Man show, great stuff. Crank anchors, awesome. That Jimmy Kimmel was great. Quote, ABC ignores longstanding commission precedents and principles protecting the integrity of the news. Jimmy Kimmel's not news. I mean, he used to be comedy. Now he's opinion. Quote, ABC engages in explicit racial and gender discrimination. Okay, if you could prove that, that's a different ballgame. That is something the FCC would look into. ABC cozies up to the Communist Chinese Party and airbrushes over religious and ethnic cleansing. ABC fails to respect this commission's rules. I don't know, man. I think it's a slippery slope when you start not liking people's opinions and say they shouldn't have a license to operate. Because with every president then, if you don't operate in the bounds of the political opinion of the party in power, then you're out. I mean, I operated a radio station while Obama was president. And almost every day, I had a show and I would express opinions about Obama. Obama never came to me and was like, I hate you. I'm revoking your license. One of the things Obama did that was actually really good during his presidency was the Community Radio Revitalization Act, where he opened up frequencies for people who wanted to serve communities. And they're they had to be owned by nonprofits, which meant there were certain things you could do or not do with commercials. But a lot of conservatives got those frequencies. I feel like Obama was pretty fair with the radio industry. Now, the radio industry itself is broken. The whole idea of FCC and how it operates is broken. But I think this is really not great because then the other side gets in and they do it too. The one complaint says that ABC-owned operated television stations in markets such as New York and Los Angeles, quote, have used public spectrum to suppress news coverage of the most critical stories of our day. Look, that's ridiculous. You can make your news whatever you want to make the news. You can make your news as biased as you want to make the news. There's nothing that says when you own a radio station or a TV station, if you don't decide the right stories to cover, that's ridiculous. To engage in electioneering and relentless political bias. Again, electioneering is different from political bias. I mean, I went 9 years every day had a political bias. To excuse, minimize, and even justify the epidemic of political violence and to peddle misinformation and defamation. I don't know, guys. I think, we talked with Dave Wilson yesterday about this, that everybody's too sensitive. Radio used to be fun. Television used to be kind of fun. Local TV and local radio used to be very interesting. Comedy used to be interesting. Look, TV stations, ABC don't like Trump. Okay. I don't like Obama. They didn't mess with me. I don't want to mess with them. It's their TV station. It's their right. There are basic requirements. As long as they hit those, you not liking what news stories they cover or don't cover, or you not liking how they moderated a debate, or you not liking about how Jimmy Kimmel does his show, that is not a reason to pull an operator's license. We talk about this the left all the time. The right is becoming it now too. The free speech police, the thought police. It's very dangerous, and I am very concerned about it. Something I am not concerned about, though, is the best part of our show, where you become the star. And we read the best YouTube comments of the day by producer Jason, brought to you by Black Sheep Plumbing.
It's those damn shock jocks that ruined it for everybody. That's what it is.
Remember how much those attorneys for the FCC cost?
Oh, yeah. In the radio, you can't use an attorney. You have to use an FCC licensed attorney, which means double the rate. So
it's so expensive.
Just take your most expensive attorney and double that.
And so,
that's what we had
when we talk about an attorney, we're not talking about like somebody came to sue us. We're talking about like there's all this paperwork that has to be filed.
A file. Yeah. And you can't do it yourself.
And the best part about it was, so the way it worked is Jason would always come up with the ideas, be they good or bad. And then I was in charge of the money over those ideas. Jason was the creative one. I was good with money, which is why I was good as an elected official with money and cutting taxes. I'm the stingiest man that ever walked the face of the earth. But my favorite part would be they would send you an email ahead of time, and they know you have to use them to file, unless you're just like an FCC like savant, right? Like our guy, Bruce the Radio Pirate. He could do all this stuff on his own.
Bruce Quinn,
one of the great radio legends that ever lived, founder of radio frequencies, runs 2 radio stations down in Columbus, Seymour now.
Yeah,
WHUM.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys like that can do it. But they know, for lay people like us, you can't file this on your own. And they're always like,
you can, but if you make a mistake, yeah.
The worst thing you can do is make a mistake on your FCC paperwork. And it's sort of like a thing where it's like having an accountant. It doesn't necessarily mean you'll never get audited, but unless you do something egregious, like if you have a respected accountant that files your paperwork for you, I think again, if you do stuff, anybody can get audited any time, but that's why you pay an accountant, right? They know the rules, they know the regulations. They see, hey, you got an accountant doing this. Is it worth our time to mess with you? Same thing true with an FCC attorney. They see who your guy is or your girl is. They know who the people are because there's only like 9 of them across the country. And they're like, okay. But my favorite thing always used to be they'd send you the email and then they'd say, if you'd like us to do this paperwork for you, please let us know. And then they'd also say, like they were doing you a solid, this is something that our executive assistant, Carolyn, can do for you. Right. And I would always respond, How much is that going to be an hour?
Yeah,
and it'd be like
discount for Carolyn.
Yeah, they're always like, well, it's a real deal because she's only like $150 an hour.
Yeah.
It's like she's checking 3 boxes.
But that was 15 years ago.
Oh, right. I can't even imagine what it is now.
Yeah, crazy.
And they were very good, the people we had. They did a wonderful job.
Yeah.
But gosh dang, that is why the radio industry, one of many reasons, it is dying because of all the cost and work and can't.
Speaking of being very good and doing a wonderful job.
Yeah, sorry, I'm cutting into your time.
Quite all right. Black Sheep Plumbing, John McKinney. He's your guy. If your water heater, water softener, or well pump goes out, or even if your toilet stops working, you could be looking at a major expense. Don't let your next call to a plumber break the bank. Call John at Black Sheep Plumbing. Black Sheep Plumbing can do the job right at a fraction of the cost of the big guys. And Black Sheep Plumbing says thank you to all military, firefighters, and police officers with an American Heroes discount. Call or text Black Sheep Plumbing for all your needs today. Speak directly with John, 765-315-7558, 765-315-7558, Black Sheep Plumbing.
Bingo.
All right. I need John to give me a call. I just don't have time to call him. So at
You're
some point,
woefully
I
busy.
need John to give me a call.
John.
I need his.
I'll
help.
text John. I'll text you Jason's number.
That's right. There we go. All right. So let's get started with the chat this morning. I believe that yesterday I had checked in. I think Kevin Branham was first, and he apologized for being first. Sorry, didn't mean to take up the first place slot. He, they just like to let somebody else have it, but he was there anyway, so good job. All right. This morning, I believe it was MLM Warriors. Good morning. July 8th is National Blueberry Day.
Oh.
There we go. We always get our update from MLM Warriors. Kevin Branham, right back. He waited till second today. Just he didn't want to, be too greedy. Good morning, Rob and Jason. The old man, 68. Happy Wednesday, everyone. I'm feeling like Uncle Joe. I'm moving kind of slow. For all you who remember the old TV show. You remember that one, Rob?
Which one?
All right. He said, Uncle Joe, moving slow.
No. What is it?
Probably only about half of our audience would get that, if that. Charles Luty.
What is it?
Well, Charles Luty.
Oh.
Okay. If I understand the reference, you're talking about Petticoat Junction.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That was way before
Uncle
my time.
Joe, yeah. And even Charles admits that was before my time. Some things are still older than me. Thank goodness for that. Yep. And he adds, happy hump day, Robbleheads, from Stroudsburg. Luty is in Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania, his hometown.
Oh.
Everybody missed him yesterday. And
he's
I
back.
just sent him a text. Where you at? People are asking. People want to know.
He's back. I want to know.
I want to know.
I want to know.
All right. Steve Green with an E. Good morning, all. Can't wait to hear what we're getting into today. Let's go.
Let's go.
Got into a lot of stuff. You got a little heated there earlier.
Well, I'm just sick of these guys, like Andrew Ireland, who he votes to raise taxes by $1 billion in the budget. And then this wouldn't have worked before social media. He posts all the right stuff on social media, like, oh, the city council, they're shameful, or they're raising taxes by $50 million. You vote all these people out. What about you, a-hole? You raise taxes by $1 billion. Should we vote you out too? But he knows. Most people don't know he did it because it's a vote on a budget.
Right.
And then the people who do know, they're his buddies, so they're not going to call him out.
Well, they may, but they'll let him explain it away and then just move on to, hey, we're going to go play golf tomorrow.
And then, so he gets a free pass on it, and then you get to go, oh, Ireland, he's so conservative.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, Ireland,
I'm concerned about you.
He's great. Yeah, look at him fighting. Yeah. Well, I don't know, man. Call me old-fashioned. $1 billion in new taxes is worse than $50 million in new taxes, but that's on us. On our side of the aisle. We don't hold these people accountable.
All right, let's see. Kenneth Eagold. Morning, y'all. Blew a hydraulic line on my tractor yesterday, so you can imagine the fun I'll be having today. Yeah, Steve Green with an E. At worst, I assume there'll be some bad language involved. Steve's always on the bad language. Okay, Buck0707. Morning group. Great birthday yesterday. Yesterday was Buck0707's birthday.
Happy birthday.
We had the grandkids in.
That's right.
They came in
Happy
and
birthday.
Interrupted the show. He said some mindless trivia, but 1977, his birthday was 7/7/77.
Oh, that's awesome.
July 7th, 1977.
So the only ways you would do that is if you were like 6/6/6/6.
Yeah. Or
8888.
Yep.
Which is actually the anniversary of the first night game ever played in Wrigley Field.
Oh, see, would have never known that.
Or and then, but you couldn't be any 55. You could do that in 55.
Yep, that's about it. Once you get to the aughts,
yeah,
then you got a long way to go, right? Yeah, because 01,
99, you could do it 9999.
01, 02, right.
Oh yeah, I guess you could. They just swing back through.
Right, there we go.
Yeah, if you were born January 1st of 2001, February 2nd of 2000. Yeah.
Okay, well, there we go. All right, well, happy birthday, belated, but we did get you yesterday as well. So, Debbie Holcomb, good morning, Robbleheads, Rob and Jason.
No, you have to be 1 of 11. It'd be January 1st of 11. January 1st of 11 to do it again.
January 1st of 2001.
No, because there's an 01. They're all the numbers aren't the same.
01. 777.
No, it's ones.
All right.
01 is not a number.
All right. Well, you don't have to use the aughts. All right, MLM Warriors, the purple lights have returned. Well, he wore the yellow shirt. I think yellow and purple works very well.
Yeah.
All right, MLM Warriors also noted that Hulk and the Ultimate Warrior have swapped places.
Yeah, every day I'm like, I got to bring some more stuff in, and then I just forget.
We just never do. I've got a couple things I was going to bring in and get rid of those, but I keep forgetting. Not on the top of the list. Jim Tennecore, good morning, Jason Lovers, and you too, Rob. Always got to get one of those digs in. Okay, Steve Green with an E. What hard-hitting journalist did a deep dive to come up with this overly obvious idea that housing prices will go up when you add 20 million people to the market? Gold star work right there.
Yeah. I mean, we were saying it at the time. It's abundantly obvious.
And everybody was focused on, the Dems are bringing them all in for the votes.
Yeah.
No, they bring them in and they scatter them around the country, and that way they raise up the votes all over the place. But you also get they had to spread out the welfare and the insurance and all that. Can't have it all in one state. Steve Green with an E. Illegal, deport, non-citizen, export, housing prices go down, wages go up. There you go. And we're talking about this because of Rob's this was the early on in the show.
Opening segment.
About
that there's a report from the Fed or a working paper from the Fed that says 30% of the housing price increases are due to illegal immigration under Biden.
Yeah, that's the thing nobody paid attention to. It's like, if you, again, it's easy to go out and buy a house and rent it for $2,400 or $3,000 when you've got 2 or 3 working families living there. Typically, American families don't really do that.
Right.
So that's and everybody's complaining about the price of rentals and things. So start connecting those dots. Steve Green with an E. Mrs. Green just texted, says to say hello and can't chat because she is at work so she can support her houseboy. Steve Green with an E sounds like he's got it all worked out.
He's got a charmed life.
Yep. C. Mills, I could sell my house probably double for what I paid for it, but I'd have to pay double to buy another one.
Right. Where would you go?
Yeah, it's just it doesn't there's no, unless you're downsizing. It doesn't even then you're getting less of a house for more money. LD Stoltz, this scenario that Rob points out is Hamilton County in general. And that would be with the housing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's I saw a thing today. There's another huge housing development or proposed near downtown Noblesville. It's like, what are you guys doing?
Where are they putting that?
I didn't have time to read the article.
Farmland left in Hamilton County.
Well, and then, that downtown. And remember when we were down there, how beautiful that downtown was? And Jason and I.
When I moved to Noblesville years ago from Indianapolis, they were 4-laning 37.
Yeah.
That's how long ago that was. Nothing but cornfields. There was not a stoplight on 37 at the time, if you can imagine. Now it's like every half a block there's a stoplight. But
well, remember the 32, that Westfield interchange was a marathon gas station
with a Dairy Queen on the other side.
Yeah. The growth has been so irresponsible. It goes back to what we talked about yesterday, which is some growth is inevitable. But why you would take the character of these communities and just infect them with a bunch of stuff and people who don't care at all about it.
Well, it's not even that. It's that they don't take care of the roads before the people move in. Wait for them to get there. It's going to cost less because we'll have more of a tax base because there'll be more people here. Yeah, we got to redo the entire sewer system, the entire water system, the entire grid. We got to do all the roads again. And that'll take about 30 years to do, but just be patient. And maybe by the time you retire, we'll have it. We'll be too big and we'll have to continue just expanding.
And the biggest issue is then you get people who start running these communities who aren't from there. And
right, or they move in, or they move in, and
And
well, if you don't like it, just move out. Well, we've been here for 30 years.
Exactly.
You've been here for 2 years, and you're bringing that down to us or up to us.
And I get I'm a townie lifer. I get that, but I liked the place I grew up. I look at all the growth, and I'm like, how did this make my life any better, or any of the people who were here? And everything you do, if it's not going to make the people's lives better, why would you do it?
All right, Rob was complaining and on a little tangent earlier as well. Rusted Bolt Garage. Rob getting my blood pressure up already.
That's what we do.
Because he's right, it says. Sue Seifert, these people are evil, but we as voters are also to blame, as we've been asleep at the wheel and have allowed the bread and circuses to occupy our heads.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, you really don't have much of a choice. The Republican Party is not going to go out of their way to let non-incumbents come in and change anything. They want those votes. They know they've got dirt on these people, or they're just senile idiots, like the guy that you were talking about the other day that was commenting about you. And
well, he's not giving it up, is he?
No, he's a moron. But they they know that, and that's why they want. It's like, why are our politicians such idiots? Because they're bought and paid for, and they know they're a guaranteed vote. So the party's not going to try to change anything and allow you to have choices. So the old man, what a great opening segment.
Thank you.
Yes.
Probably put it in a museum somewhere.
Hoosier 2020.
I'd say give it a Marconi, but I'm not on the radio,
yeah,
so
time capsule.
Can get a Marconi.
Yep. Hoosier 2025. I have missed the last 2 days due to meetings, but glad this show is on other platforms.
That's right.
Yeah. People look at those YouTube numbers. Like, well, you only got 1,400 people or whatever. No, that's the lowest number that we have as far as listeners. We don't post the numbers or whatever because it's kind of it's not irrelevant. Every listener is important, but that's not the point. But yeah, online or on the what am I trying to say? On demand with iHeart. We love iHeart and Apple and all those. That's a lot of people listen. That's why we were asking. Maybe we should go noon to 3. Would more people have access to us live at that point? But those are just conversations we're having with people. Okay, that was Hoosier 25.
Yes, we love all of our on-demand platforms and the people who listen. Apple, Spotify, and the iHeart guys. They're great, too.
They are. But we love the chat. We love people live because that gives me an opportunity to come on. So that's we don't want to nix the live stuff and all this awesome chat. Driver 4562. Did Braun extend the gas tax holiday, or did I miss it?
He did.
Yeah, he did. Young Kim Young, flooding the U. And she said, happy birthday, Jason, because when you say about John Rust having the party, you say, and it's Jason's birthday. Well, my birthday is on October 3rd, the day of the party. Not that that's a problem, but I think that's what she might have misunderstood. She says, happy birthday, Jason. And I will take that as the very first pre-birthday wish I've had, young Kim Young. So I do appreciate that. Flooding the U.S.
I know where Kim Young lives. She is not that far from Rust's house. I'm going to tell her she needs to come to the birthday party.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Would love to meet young Kim. All right. And she says, flooding the U.S. with illegal immigration was by design, and now this evil cabal would love nothing more than to see us at each other's throats. We have to take our country back. Yeah, it is a lot, the R's and the D's fighting amongst each other while everybody else sits back and laughs. So, yeah, that's just as long as you pay your taxes and we get our freebies, we're fine with that. All right. Sue Seifert. How, though, do we convince people that monopolies do exist with the incestuous relationship with government, all to benefit politicians? Kind of like the mafia.
Yeah.
Give them control of the ports, and there you go. Government will just get our kickback and good to go. Allegedly. Steve Green with an E. No, you won't get this anywhere else. Legacy media is too busy doing deep dives on the Strawberry Festival. Must have been a topic on another show with your cholesterol.
You know, one of the things, it's like, because I try to scour the news for local stories. I try to do as much local content as I can. And usually every day there's like 2 or 3. And I'm like, okay, bam, those are good ones. And then after that, it's like, where did all the investigative reporting go? It doesn't seem, it seems like there's a lot of fluff anymore. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of hard-hitting news.
Oh, Andy Engel and I have the same birthday.
Oh, how
October
exciting.
3rd. Well, Andy, we assume you'll be down there sharing in some of my birthday cake. I'll let you blow out a candle. All right. Yeah, assuming there's candles on the. I'm not I can't be presumptuous and assume there'll be candles on a cake for me or anything. But Thomas Ho, ratepayers even pay for the cost of utility lobbyist, don't they?
That's right.
Yeah.
So he's talking about the fight over the IURC.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Shrog Sandwich. For real. We had a revolution for less than this.
Yeah.
Good point. Charles Ludi, I have a newish DVD player and purchase DVDs for uncommon titles not available through streaming services. They're not obsolete. Now, if you go to Walmart, they always have the bins of the DVDs.
Oh, yeah,
it's like $5 or something like that. And,
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
All right. Oh, Steve Green with an E. I have an ass ton of DVDs in case my Wi-Fi goes down for an extended period of time.
Oh, not a bad idea.
Yep, there you go. As long as your power stays on. All right. Real Cowboy Chris, late to the chat. Good morning from Cincinnati.
Oh.
Thanks to those who prayed for our girl, surgery went well.
Oh, good.
Yeah, his daughter had some surgery there, and I wasn't sure the details, but apparently, of course, thankfully,
good.
God is great. Everything went well, so we're very happy to hear that, Mr. Cowboy Chris.
Excellent.
All right. Jim Tinacor, I've always voted Republican, ... but not this year.
Oh?
Yeah, they're not giving you much of a choice. All right. Kevin Branham, Rob on another heater today. Yep. The old man 68. A better question is, where is all the previous tax dollars that were collected for the roads? Doesn't seem like they went into the roads, does it?
A lot of designs.
Yeah.
A lot of money went into designs.
C. Mills, if I wasn't heated before I got shorted on a piece of cheese in my Lunchables, I'm pissed, he says. Okay, C. Mills, I got you. I got you right here. Those Lunchables he talks about, I sometimes have one every day, as Rob knows. Okay, the Lunchables are like $2, and you can get these Crackers Crunchers for $1, right?
Oh.
And C. Mills, you get the same thing in here. You just don't get the cookies, but you get the cheese. And I always throw the cheese away. You can have my cheese if you'd like.
You throw the cheese away?
Throw the cheese away. I'm not a chunk cheese eater.
Oh, I got you.
So
okay.
C. Mills, that'll save you $1 every time. All right. Some financial advice here.
Kevin O'Leary over here.
From producer Jason.
Mr. Wonderful.
Mad Duck, I want brisket. She wants brisket. Rusted Bolt Garage, I want wangs. Spells it wangs.
Oh.
W-A-N-G-S.
Yeah,
There we go. So everybody wants brisket and wings, which you can probably have if you come to John Rust's celebration of Jason's birthday on October 3rd, because who's catering that?
Double D's.
There we go.
Double D's.
They should have.
It's Tina's birthday too. One of the owners.
That's right. It's just what a
all
great,
people having
great
the birthdays.
day. All right, Shrog Sandwich. Dude, what if Livy had been playing in the driveway, or a dog? How many close calls and actual calls because someone died while something was being delivered? So, she's talking about your garage door being bashed in. Yeah. And good thing nobody was in the driveway or playing.
It's amazing my wife's car didn't get
people walk their dogs, or they walk on the sidewalk, and a lot of people looking at their phones. They don't like you get in your car to back out your driveway. And of course, I always look, and I can't tell you how many times people walk through and they're just looking at their phone. Or it's like, if I'd have just been like one of these idiot teenagers and just put it in reverse and went.
Yeah.
I had the right of way. Okay. From your grave, from your cemetery, you can claim that all day long, but look up.
Yeah.
So, okay. Continuing on. Sorry for that little morbid piece of advice there, but all kinds of living advice today. All right, Josh Richardson, sounds like Rob needs a garage door sponsor for the show.
Yeah, I do. If you own a garage door company, you want to sponsor us, we'd love to promote your product. Steve
Green with an E. Parts are weeks out. You need a new garage door company. Okay. Kenneth Egold, been down that insurance road before. The old man 68, that happens when you import millions of third world immigrants illegally. LD Stoltz, I bet you would be surprised how many people don't have car insurance. And, they used to, when you mentioned the radio station in North Carolina, I do remember going through a few different checkpoints, and they weren't DUI checkpoints. They were driver's license checkpoints. I don't know if they don't do that in Indiana. And I never had a problem with it. It's like, yeah, here's my driver's license. You want my insurance? You want my reg? No, just go on. You're fine. But because half the people out there do not have a driver's license. I know people that have said that my friends don't have insurance, and just like it's only a penalty if you get caught.
Yeah, totally.
And those are the people that never pull up into the intersection when the light's yellow or green, not yellow, but like green, you can pull up. And then when the traffic is done, you can make your turn. And they always stay behind the line, and people honk at them, and they wait till the turn because they don't know the laws, and they don't know you can do that. And they're not taking the risk because they probably don't have insurance or a license.
Well, and the other thing is when you get your car renewed, you're supposed to list your insurance on there.
Well,
but who's checking
again,
that?
You get that insurance for a month when you buy that car, or you get the job. And it seems like, by the way, not to go too deep into this, but it seems like, and I know it was an Amazon driver that ran into your garage. It was a person that was a contractor for Amazon who works probably for an actual contractor. Okay, it seems like that person, that company should be responsible because they were doing it. I mean, if the mailman runs into your garage, I assume the post office has to take some sort of responsibility, right?
Well, I mean, the insurance company gave me more money than I'm going to be out my deductible.
I'm surprised they gave you money.
They did. They were very quick giving it to me.
Most of us would assume our insurance company would screw us.
Well, I mean, I guess the one thing I would have done had I known the deductible was going to be covered is I might have looked for another way to put the thing together.
Yeah. Dad, bring your toolbox over.
But, I mean, I assume they're not going to just be out the money, so they'll get the money from the guy somehow. And they did say, they're like, you'll get your deductible before I get our money. So I said, okay, thanks.
All right. Good deal. All right. Oh, yeah, and of course, Kenneth Eagle, as a tow truck driver, we deal with no insurance all the time in the towing industry.
Yep.
Again, you get pulled over, you get, whatever. They tell you, well, you can't drive, and we call the tow. But that's only if you get pulled over.
Yeah.
All right. The old man, 68, your insurance will go up too. Don't let them tell you it won't. They told you it won't, right?
Yeah, they said that since it wasn't my deal.
Got you off the phone, didn't they? Buck 0707. This guy is with Elena Cupsey. For those of you that don't know, that's Diego's former employer that has disappeared. Yep. Okay.
I knew when he came back to the door that day and he didn't speak much English. I said, oh, no.
Jay, Indiana, laws are meant for people who have something to lose.
Yeah, you're right.
The old man, 68. Do we all need to donate to cover Rob's deductible?
RobKendallShow.com, support button.
There we go.
You can, I think you can label stuff when you hit the support button. Hey, y'all paid for Jason's Claritin.
Yeah, it was a little cheaper than your garage door, though. The old man, 68. When you're raised to follow the law and respect others, it's always a surprise when others don't and seem to get away with it.
Yeah, I mean, I've got the cameras all around my house, so like you see it in real time, and that's what the insurance company was like on the collection side. They're like, well, we've got the evidence that it clearly happened, so they said that's really in our favor and all this other stuff. So,
okay, Young Kim Young. The Democrats encourage people to come here for free health care and are still forcing us to pay for them. We're talking about the people with the hip. Kevin Branham, they're buying votes. I don't know if those people vote. The old man, 68. We devalue work ethic. Now, of course, to paint the picture there, Rob laid it out great. It's not the people's fault that are on it.
No.
With the law, Obama made the law. You have to have insurance or you get not fined, but your incomes.
It was fine.
Yeah, you're fined. So people like, 25-year-old, I don't need insurance. I'm not paying for insurance. No, you have to have it. We're going to give it to you. No, I don't want free insurance. Do not give me. Okay, give it to me. I mean, okay, now you got to go to work to get it. When you talked about how there's a bunch of people that are off of it as of June, that was the date that they were doing the renewals. And so they haven't enforced the 20-hour-a-week law yet. That'll be like they'll phase that in about 6 months or so. But they are cutting a lot of people off. You had to prove your income, I believe, to get renewed. So a lot of people, of course, were like, I never asked for this anyway, but yeah, I used it and I got it. But, I'm not going to lie about it or whatever. So I'm not sending the form back in because I'm not working I am working and I'm getting paid more than qualification. And that's where a lot of people have fallen off. So they're finally, I think, getting around to doing that. And then with this 20-hour-a-week work rule, that'll eliminate a lot more people. But the law is still there that you're required to pay for insurance, for health insurance, which has no effect on other people.
You just can't get fined anymore. They struck that down.
Oh, they did? Okay, there you go.
But
okay.
The law still exists. There's no fine mechanism.
I got you. Okay.
All right. We got to set up studio.
Oh, wow. It's time flies when we're enjoying the chat, isn't it? Okay, we got one more here. Almond Joy Tempo. We got you in, Almond Joy Tempo. Man, I missed the show today. However, I made it just in time to hear the smooth as butter voice of the legend.
Oh, Jason.
Wow, what a way to end.
Wow.
That's
and you go back
awesome.
and listen to the show. It's on demand.
That is
All the
correct.
places.
Yes, that is correct. All right, the chat brought to you by, as always, Black Sheep Plumbing. We do appreciate it. I'll see you tomorrow. So long, everybody.
Guys, thanks for another great day. Before you go, if you haven't done so yet, it really helps us out. Hit that thumbs up button before you leave us. If you're listening to us, watching us on demand, hit the thumbs up button as well. You guys have an awesome rest of your day. We will see you right back here tomorrow, 9 until noon. For producer Jason, I'm Rob Kendall. You've been watching. You've been listening to Rob Kendall Show.